What is up, celestial beings and innovators? I am just a simple new type, and in this episode, we are beginning our adventures through our supposed future timeline as we dive into Mobile Suit Gundam 00. Many timelines actually do take place in Anno Domini timeline, or some variant of it, until humanity begins living in space. Then it becomes something new. But what if humanity continued and kept using the AD timeline? Gundam 00 answers that question. You can tell we are entering a new age of anime distribution, as this series will be the first to have a 25 episode season. Praise the gods. Imagine if Gundam Seed was 25 episodes instead of 50. I mean, if you take out all the flashbacks, it might actually be 25 episodes. Anyways, did you know that there is a stage play of Gundam 00? Look it up. It is glorious. Let's not get distracted with stage plays, and let's get into this. Before we dive into this, we must start by discussing the Anno Domini timeline. This show asks the question, what if Gundams, but in our near future? So let's start at the beginning of this story. So there was this guy, his name was Jesus. Actually, I'm going to skip ahead a few millennia. 2051, Aeolus Schoenberg is born. He will be the creator of Celestial Being and the GN Drive. More on this later. 39 years later, in 2090, a global fuel crisis is in effect. Humanity is running out of fossil fuels. Schoenberg creates a theoretical concept for an orbital elevator and photovoltaic energy systems. However, no one pays attention. While creating these theoretical concepts, he was also working on humanoid robots, separate to humanity, creating their own mobile suits, and can be considered the actual inventor of mobile suits. A year later, in 2091, Schoenberg explores the concept of GN particles. He also finds out that the GN particles have the ability to transmit thoughts. He believes this could save humanity, but recognizes that humanity is full of hatred, greed, and violence. He begins a plan to save humanity. Sometime over the next 100 years, the organization Celestial Being is formed using Aeolus Schoenberg's plan as the core to their vision. They want to end war and conflict. Of course, they plan on making this happen through war and conflict. The Celestial Beings create the Veda, a quantum computer that utilizes GN particles and quantum processing. This supercomputer recruits celestial beings to help make Schoenberg's vision a reality. A celestial being can communicate with Veda using Innovators. This is a bioterminal that allows a human to communicate with Veda. 2101. Schoenberg spends the rest of his life advancing space colonization, but he suddenly disappears and is assumed dead in space. 2188. The Union heads to Jupiter on the vessel Europa. This is an exploration mission, but a few members of Celestial Being are a part of the mission. They intend to test GN drives in secret while on Jupiter. Sometime during the early 23rd century, an accident happens on Jupiter, and one of the crew members kills the other crew members. No one knows what happens. That is until 2225, that an exploration team happens to stumble onto a Haro carrying some data. The 2250s. Planning and funding for the construction of the orbital elevator begins. Schoenberg's vision is finally becoming a reality. 2283. Neil and Lyle, the Lock-On Bros, are born in AEU. 2288. Allelujah Haptism is born in HRL. 2289. The Fourth Solar Power War begins. Also, the Mars tragedy occurs. Sometime in the next year, the GN drive of the Zero Gundam is completed. This is the prototype that will be the basis for the next generation of mobile suits. 2291. Setsuna F. Sei is born with the name Soren Abraham in the Republic of Krugus. 2292. The Fifth Solar Power War begins. The second generation mobile suits are created. During this time, the Advanced European Union, or EAU, develops its first production mobile suits, the Hellion. Also, the Human Reform League, or HRL, has already deployed the Tieran. 2295, we reach the second generation of Celestial Being crew members. 2297, the Union's orbital elevator is completed and HRL's will be completed soon. 2299, Soren Abraham kills his parents and becomes a child soldier. And that brings us to the beginning of our story. 2301, the Kurdish Republic is fighting against Azadistan. AMPs are taking out workloaders. The MSER-04 AMP is the redesigned version of HRL's Phantom. These units run on fossil fuels. During this time, we are seeing more units utilize the orbital elevator and solar power. Because of its reliance on fossil fuels, this unit is used mainly in the Middle East. AMP means nose in Arabic, and yeah, I see it. This unit is easy to repair and maintain, which is why they exist exist even after the HRL move on to the Tyran. This unit is equipped with a head-mounted machine gun and a forearm-mounted smoothbore gun. A workloader is a construction suit designed specifically to help build the orbital elevator. A young Soren Abraham is fighting in this war. His people are fighting in the name of God, but he recognizes that no God exists in this world. He is trapped by two amps who are about to shoot him when an unknown mobile suit comes in and destroys the amps. This is the test mobile suit mentioned earlier, the Zero Gundam, sporting the GN drive. The GN 000 Zero Gundam is the first mobile suit equipped with the GN drive. It was originally piloted by Ribbons Allmark. This unit was completed around 2290 and was used during the Solar Power Wars decades earlier. This unit went on to create the second generation of Gundams. 6 years later, in 2307, AEU is watching a demonstration of their latest mobile suit, the AEU Enact. The AEU Enact is AEU's latest mobile suit and is meant to be the predecessor to the Hellion. Geopolitically, it seems that the AEU is lagging behind the other two nations, so they decide to put R&D into mobile suit production. This unit is meant to be on par with the Union's flag. More on that soon. This unit has the ability to receive solar power from the orbital elevator. The Enact draws the power it needs for activation from hydrogen fuel cells stored at the molecular level in the mobile suit's component material, and this method of storage has extremely low risk of explosion. That doesn't sound reassuring. It is equipped with a 20mm machine gun, defense rod, linear rifle, plasma sword, and a long-range missile. Billy Katagiri and Graham Acker are watching and noting that it is similar to the flag. As this performance is going on, a mysterious Gundam drops down on their location. This is Exia Gundam. The GN-001 Gundam Exia is one of the 4 third-generation Gundams. If you are wondering what the second generation was, it is elaborated in the light novel Mobile Suit Gundam 00P. What makes this Gundam is the GN drive, which provides limitless power and produces GN particles. We will go into more detail about GN particles in the future, but for now, they allow the unit the ability to maneuver in Earth atmosphere independently of support units. It also allows the unit to re-enter Earth's atmosphere and is used in their beam technology. The Exia is equipped with a GN sword, a beam saber, a beam dagger, a long and short blade, and a shield, all utilizing GN particles. It also has the Veda linked operating system and will eventually use the Transcending system. Billy thinks that this is an HRL unit at first. Exia is cutting off communication with most of AEU's communication devices. Patrick Colasar, who is piloting the Enact, is confused, but preps itself for battle. Exia comes in and completely disarms the Enact with ease. Graham Acker uses binoculars to notice the label Gundam on the mobile suit. Exia takes off. They all wonder how the unit took off without any propulsion system. AEU sends out Hellions to take out the Exia. The AEU-05 Hellion Perpetuum is the primary mobile suit of the AEU military, with the hopes of changing that to the Enact. This is the third version of this mobile suit, as it has been upgraded since 2092. This unit has an MS mode and a flight mode, and is equipped with a 20mm machine gun, defense rod, linear rifle, sonic blade, and a long-range missile. The Hellion's loadout is more or less the same as the Enact. Lock-on Stratos in the Gundam Dynamis does some sniping and assists Setsuna. The GN-002 Gundam Dynamis is another GN drive mobile suit. This unit is a recon unit and is highly effective at sniping. Its main weapon is an extremely long-range powerful GN sniper rifle, and when operating this rifle, Dynamis is in sniper mode, whereby the gun camera hidden in the head is exposed and a precious shooting scope in the cockpit is deployed. It is also quite capable in mid-range combat. Along with the sniper rifle, it is equipped with the GM missile, beam saber, shield, full shield, beam pistol, and super substratospheric altitude gun. They complete the second phase, which was to expose that the EAU was hiding hangars within their orbital elevator. The first phase was taking out the Enact. Meanwhile, over at HRL's orbital elevator, terrorists come in piloting Hellions and attack the high orbital station. It seems to be a suicide mission. However, another Gundam appears. The GN-003 Gundam Curios is a transformable mobile suit and has a flight mode. The Curios' mobility and maneuverability are greatly enhanced in flight form, exceeding those of the other Gundams and mobile suits utilized by the 3 major powers. Of course, this is powered by a GN drive. This is piloted by Allelujah. It is able to take out the terrorists and protect the HRL, but one unit gets through. Luckily, Gundam Virtue comes in and uses its bazookas, destroying the remaining unit and completing Phase 3. The GN-005 Gundam Virtue is a chunky mobile suit with great defenses, specializing using in artillery warfare for fleet battles and assault enemy strongholds. The Virtue's firepower is unmatched among contemporaries thanks to heavy beam weaponry consisting of the GN bazooka and 2 GN cannons. Its size makes it not as mobile as the other Gundams. The pilot's name is Taribia. The news shows a video of a bearded man who tells the world of the celestial beings. They have been fighting to rid the world of war for decades and tells them that they will intervene if necessary. The 3 players that this message is for are the Union of Solar Energy and Free Nations, the Advanced European Union, and the Human Reform League. We name-dropped these earlier, so let's talk about each nation. The Union of Solar Energy and Free Nations, which we will simply refer to as the Union from now on, consists of the Americas, Australia, and Japan. They were the first to complete an orbital elevator out of the 3 nations. It is built in South America. The United States President also controls the Union and the power, as it kinda runs as the world's police. Mobile Suit Warehouse and Development is their military branch and weapons manufacturer. The Advanced European Union, or AEU, consists of most of Europe, along with territories in Africa and Iceland and Greenland. As of 2307, their elevator is not complete but is operational. Unlike the Union, the AEU started developing mobile suits that utilizes the power from the orbital elevator, such as the Enact. Their elevator is located in their African territories. The Human Reform League, or HRL, consists of Mongolia, China, India, Russia, and parts of Southeast Asia, along with Turkey, Taiwan, Georgia, and Armenia. They also operate a space colony at the L4 point. In the HRL, China handles the politics, Russia handles the military, and India handles the technology. Sucks to be a Russian interested in engineering. You go to war, bitch. They also control Papua New Guinea, where their orbital elevator is located. If you have noticed, each orbital elevator is located at the equator. Considering these are giant solar panels, that is the most optimal space to gather energy. They also operate as space elevators. It seems this universe has evolved past the need for mass drivers and obscene amounts of propulsion. Saji Crossroad and Louise Allelujah. Remember these 2 as we will randomly return to them. Meanwhile, HRL is planning an attack against Celestial Being. At AEU, their people are studying the attack against the Enact. They simply come to the realization quick that their mobile suits are quite inferior. The Union President simply notes that they intervene to ensure the safety of their citizens, but for now, they will simply observe. Billy and Graham are discussing Exia. They note that all communications failed when Exia was in their presence. Someone from Mobile Suit Warehouse and Development comes. It seems the 2 have a mission. In space, Setsuna and Exia, Allelujah and Kyrios, Lock-On and Dynamis, and Taribia and Virtue launch. Their mission is to help a small faction, the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Elam, or Tamil Tigers. One thing to note is that Lock-On has a Haro, and it might be the best Haro in all of Gundam. Although Witch from Mercury did have those murder Haros, HRL spots them and notes that the Gundams are able to enter Earth's atmosphere without any support unit. AEU and the Union are also informed of their descent into Earth. Graham tells Billy that HRL's true intentions are to control the entire solar power pipeline. They are also informed of Celestial Being's move and decides to head to action as well. While monitoring the battlefield, Setsuna has some PTSD and flashes back to 2301. He says the line and rushes into battle. You know the one. He battles with Tierran ground types. The MSJ-062A Tierran ground type is HRL's mass-produced mobile suit and has been in service for over a decade. This is a battery-powered mobile suit unlike its predecessors. It is incredibly heavy and has low mobility. Beam weapons? Nah. This thing runs on shell weapons, baby. Good old reliable. HRL prefers reliability over new tech. He shows off his sweet melee moves while Lock-On does some sniping. Lock-On recognizes that Setsuna is being impatient. Allelujah is sad about murdering, but he still continues doing it. Most are down, but 2 Tierran high mobility types come in. The MSJ-062C Tierran high mobility type is designed with 2 goals in mind: to remedy the ground type's poor mobility while maintaining the advantage of its heavy bulk, and to incorporate some form of flight capabilities. Not that it matters because Setsuna is able to take both out with ease. They complete their missions and take off, but they notice a Union ship coming towards their location. It is a flag. The SVMS-01 Union flag is the Union's mass-produced mobile suit. This unit led to the AEU's envy and their desire to build the Enact. The flag can transform between the humanoid MS mode and the fighter jet-like flight mode. The Union acts as the world's police space, and as such, their flight mode allows the unit to deploy with ease anywhere in the world. Unlike other units, it doesn't need any special loadout to transform between MS mode and flight mode. The ability to transform mid-flight is known as the Graham Special and is named after its creator, Graham. Speaking of which, Graham happens to be piloting this flag. Setsuna and Graham engage in battle. We ended last episode with Graham going out in his Union flag to fight Setsuna and his Gundam Exia. The two engage in battle. The flag is able to dodge the Gundam, but it is on the defensive. Setsuna goes in with his beam saber and ends this before the theme song even plays. Billy was collecting data on the Gundam while Graham fought him. Graham senses that the pilot must be young. At the news organization JNN, we are introduced to Kinoue, who is the sister of Kaji, whom we only mentioned by name so far last time. She is researching Schoenberg and Celestial Being. She wonders why he waited 200 years to make his move. At the base station of HLR's space elevator, the Gundam Meisters meet up. Setsuna is late because he was dealing with the flag. They plan on sending Gundam Virtue into space using the elevator. Setsuna isn't concerned about the Gundam getting caught. It is currently disguised as construction equipment. Tieria heads back up into space. The rest of the team heads out. As they leave, the commander of the HLR, Sergei, makes his way back from space. Meanwhile, Graham and Billy have been reassigned to the Anti-Gundam Investigative Task Force. This team will be led by Ralph Eichmann. A supporter of Celestial Being and UN ambassador, Alejandro meets with Wang at a bar. She informs him Celestial Being's third mission will soon begin. Sergei goes to Ceylon and visits a site where a team is testing missile shells that were left by Gundam Kyrios. Their scientists mention that it is made of state-of-the-art materials. They also inform Sergei of the weird light emitted from the unit. Of course, this is the GN particles. Billy and Graham meet with Ralph Eichmann. They speculate that not only are the particles emitted used as a propulsion system for the Gundam, but it is most likely used in their weapons as well. Ralph wants to capture one of the Gundams and see for himself. Both Graham at the Union and Sergei at RLM, along with the President of the United States, are informed that the Gundams are attacking once again. It is Lock-On, taking out a bunch of workloaders. He seems really bored by the mission. In South America, Kyrios Gundam is currently doing a bombing raid. Unlike Lock-On, Allelujah is enjoying himself. Sergei is informed that a third Gundam is attacking nearby and goes out for himself in his Tieran high mobility type. It is Setsuna and the Exia, taking on a team of Tierans. He takes him out when Sergei comes in. We talked about the Tieran high mobility type last time, but here we see it in action as Sergei attempts to crush the Gundam Exia. Setsuna proceeds to take off its arm and incapacitates Sergei. Out in space, Gundam Virtue meets up with the Ptolemaios. The CBS-70 Ptolemaios is Celestial Being's tactical mobile suit carrier. This ship is reliant on GN particles. The ship itself does not have a GN drive. It instead uses GN particle battery packs and mainly uses the GN particles from the Gundams themselves when docked. This ship has a giant rotating docking ring, 4 for each pilot. The Gundam then docks into a docking container. There is a catapult to launch the mobile suits as well. The docking ring will rotate to the catapult, which will allow the pilot to launch from the ship. Because of the GN particles, the ship is invisible to radar. In order to contact and find the ship, you must be connected to their wide array sensors. I guess this works as an interplanetary dark web for celestial beings. Even if ships get too close to the Ptolemaios, their electronics will start to malfunction. The ship itself does not have any weapons, but it does have a GN field. The GN field was created during the second generation of Celestial Being and is now being implemented. By concentrating GN particles into a small space, the particles themselves can be shaped into a shape which then can deflect ballistic weapons, beam weapons, and endure extreme heats. So they are smashing particles like mochi and stretching it over the ship. Don't think about it too much. It looks cool. It also has tools for Tieria, who is an Innovator, to communicate with Veda. Tieria acts as the hand of Veda on the Ptolemaios. This is a rabbit hole in itself, which we will talk about much later. The Gundam docks with the ship and proceeds to give power to the Ptolemaios. The commander of the Ptolemaios, Sumeragi, tells Tieria that the mission was successful. Saji is heading home to his apartment. He happens to run into his next door neighbor, who is Setsuna. Saji tries to spark up a conversation with him, but he isn't having any of that. At home, Saji's sister Kinoue has to head to work as things are getting hectic. Louise calls Saji and tells him to watch the news. It seems that the IRA, yes, that IRA, the terrorist one, has thrown down their weapon. This seems to be the doing of Celestial Being. The Ptolemaios crew watch as HLR leaders give a press conference labeling Celestial Being being as a terrorist group after killing 148 soldiers during their attack on Ceylon. We return to Azadistan. This is the nation that took over Setsuna's homeland, Krugis, in 2301. Its government is a constitutional monarchy, which means we got royal bloodlines in this series, yo. We meet the princess, who is watching a revolt from her palace. Her name is Marina Ismail. Their nation is seeking reform. She wants to see if her nation could seek aid from the solar elevator. Her advisor suggests that if turmoil continues, celestial being will be there to make their appearance. Sergei is meeting with his commanding officer. He wants him to lead a new task force in charge of trying to capture the Gundam. He allows him to create his own team, with the exception of one person, Soma Paris. She comes from the HLR Super Soldier program. Meanwhile, Setsuna eats a hot dog? It's not a burger. Is that allowed? He daydreams about genocide while he runs into Saji and Louise. At the Union, Graham is meeting with his new team while also checking out his new flag custom. The SVMS-01E Graham's Union Flag Custom is a variant of the Union flag that Graham designed specifically for capturing the Gundam. This unit was made with what little data they had on the Gundam. This unit ignores the restrictions it puts to save the pilot, and thus this unit could go double the speed of a regular flag in flight mode. It also has a high-speed flight mode. We will eventually see Graham take this unit to 12 Gs. The black color isn't just for looks, as this is an anti-beam coating that is applied to the unit. The loadout is the same, except the standard linear rifle is switched with the XLR-04 trial-type linear rifle. On Ptolemaios, Sumeragi gets 12 missions from Veda to choose from. She mumbles that they are all risky choices. There is a press conference on the news. The nation of Taribia is pulling out of the Union. They are tired of the United States controlling most of the power. At RLM, Sergei and Soma speculate that they are pulling out because if the Union does go to war, they know celestial being will come in and intervene. At Azadistan, Marina is envious of Taribia. She notes that Taribia is able to do this because they are close to the solar tower. For the developing nations around the tower, it seems that the closer you are, the more power, money, and geopolitical influence you will have. Relatively speaking, of course. Azadistan could take advantage of this situation. Celestial being preps for their next mission. The Gundam Meisters are scattered throughout the world right now, but they get the call to head out into their respective Gundams. News is getting out that the Union is authorized to attack Taribia. The Taribian forces are using the Union-made mobile suit, the Rialdo. The VMS-15 Union Rialdo is a transformable mobile suit that was eventually replaced with the Union flag. As this came before the flag, their intentions with this mobile suit was to simply make a superior aircraft first and foremost. However, the Rialdo can't switch between mobile suit and flight mode on the fly and will require maintenance to do so. One must make a choice before they launch. Will they go in mobile suit mode or flight mode? It is equipped with a 20mm machine gun, a defense rod, a linear rifle, a sonic blade, and a rocket launcher. Everyone is watching the news and wondering what side Celestial Being will side with during this conflict. The Taribian forces are attacked. It is Setsuna and the Exia. Lock-On and Allelujah come in as well. They are attacking Taribian forces. Why is this? Celestial Being is designed to eradicate war. The Taribian nation is seceding for the Union, not for the sake of its nation's safety, but because they are trying to incite conflict. They were trying to tip Celestial Being's hand, and by doing so, tip their hand towards forcing them to push Taribia back into the Union. Of course, once the attack begins, the Taribian leaders get a hold of the President of the United States and withdraws from attempting to secede from the Union. This is also pretty cool because it establishes early on that the Celestial Being is not messing around when it comes to agent provocateurs, trolls, or agents of chaos. The Celestial Beings are not having any of this conflict for conflict's sake nonsense. Now that Taribia is a Union ally once again, the Union sends out forces to help the nation against the Gundams. Specifically, Graham's custom flag goes in and attacks Setsuna. They melee battle for a little bit, but then Exia goes underwater, which flags cannot do. He makes his escape. We go back to Marina, who is in shock. She looked at what Taribia was doing and thought perhaps she could follow suit. And little by little, that is usually how a revolution begins. But Celestial Being shut that down quick. So now she and the nation of Azadistan must carefully plan their next move. When you build the entire world on a house of cards and then everyone has an arms race to the top, it is easy for one organization to come in and topple that house. Saji and his sister are watching this all unfold on the news and realizing how insane the world is. In Azadistan, Marina is heading out on a tour to try to find solar energy for her nation. She thinks that the Union and Taribia must have manipulated celestial being, but her assistant Shirin says that it is because they are willing to eradicate war at the cost of public opinion. Marina heads out. At the HRL orbital elevator, Saji and Louise are heading up to Heaven's Pillar, or Tenshu in Japanese, for a training trip. Kinoe drops them off and she tells Saji not to do any funny business with Louise. They head up using the linear train. As they get to a certain point, the gravity goes away and you're weightless. In another train are Sergei and Soma. Sergei asks why she volunteered for the Super Soldier program, and she said that she was a designer baby that was designed specifically for the program. When they reach the Pillar of Earth, which is the low Earth orbital station, they meet up with their tour instructor. They take the two out for a spacewalk. Both Saji and Louise look over the edge to see an amazing view of Earth. Louise trips and falls. Saji tries to save her, but the instructor ends up saving them both. At a military outpost along the lines of Heaven's Pillar is an HRL base. Here, Soma and Sergei are looking at the new Tieran Tautsu. The MSJ-062SP Tieran Tautsu is designed specifically for use with super soldiers, specifically Soma. It is developed from the Tieran Kitu, which has a 500mm gun at dick level. This unit is essentially known as the Tieran Super Soldier type and is designed to surpass the Gundam supposedly. We will see Soma pilot this unit and gather extensive data that will improve it. The display system increases the accuracy of information transmitted to the pilot and allows for faster and more precise mobile suit control, which normal pilots seem to struggle with its speed. This mobile suit has the same arm-mounted smoothbore gun and chest-mounted machine gun that the Tieran space type has. It can also use the carbon blade of the Tieran ground type, essentially the best of both worlds. It also has a 30mm machine gun, and, not to forget, it is pink. After they look at the mobile suit, we cut to 2 days later. Allelujah is heading up to the orbital tower for his next mission. Before heading up, Lock-On tells him to be careful because the world currently hates them right now. His mission is to spy on the new HRL mobile suit. Soma just so happens to be testing that mobile suit while Sergei follows in the Tieran space type. While testing the unit, Soma gets a weird sensation at the same time as Allelujah, who just landed on Heaven's Pillar. His pain causes a scene at the station. He yells at the bad thoughts in his head. Go away, bad thoughts. He gets up and his personality has shifted. Outside of the solar tower, Soma is freaking out and she begins shooting at the lower levels. She hits a module of colony blocks and it breaks off. This just so happens to be the same module that Saji and Louise are currently on. Allelujah reaches out to Hallelujah, for he is now in control. Remember about that personality shift? Well, this personality shift was triggered by his past. It was triggered by Soma. Hallelujah is more of a repressed memory representing his past, which we will talk about more at a later time. But we do get flashes of Hallelujah in a white-walled facility yelling. He snaps out of it. Suddenly, Allelujah is back in control. There are 232 people on the drifting module of the colony block. A rescue crew is expecting to reach them in 7 minutes, but in 14 minutes they will start to drift into Earth's atmosphere. Wang is watching the action and says that they won't make it in time. She is informed that Allelujah has launched. Sergei goes in and pushes the module, but he is just one unit and gravity is a bitch. His propulsion isn't enough and he will soon be dead as well if he continues on. Suddenly, Gundam Kyrios comes in. Wang tells Allelujah that this isn't a part of the mission, but he hangs up on her. He goes in and helps out Sergei. He wonders why the Gundam chose to help. At JNN headquarters, Kinoe finds out that Saji and Louise are in danger, and there is nothing she could do about it. Louise tries to say something to Saji, but is cut off by the chaos. Even with Kyrios' Gundam, they aren't going to be able to stop the colony block from entering Earth's atmosphere. Allelujah tells the citizens in the colony block to head to the center module. Sergei says he can't do this alone, and like a badass, Allelujah says, I am not alone. Right when a shot comes in and shoots off 2 of the modules from the colony block. It is Lock-On in the Gundam Dynamis on Earth, sniping all the way into low Earth orbit. Gundam Exia comes in and helps remove clouds to give Lock-On clear coverage. Now Gundam Kyrios only has to push on a single module, which is less heavy and easier. The rescue crew finally makes its way towards the colony block and Kyrios takes off. Back on board the Ptolemaios, Taribia is mad that Sumeragi abandoned the mission that Veda laid out in order to save people. He is also mad that Dynamis showed the world that he has the ability to shoot at such a long range. Sumeragi was just trying to protect the Gundam and Taribia suggests that perhaps they get a new one. Savage, but he is a weird half computer, half hybrid thing. Kind of like Mentats in the book Dune, if you ever read that. As they are rescued, citizens all head back to the solar tower. Saji asks Louise what she was about to say, but she refuses to answer. We head to South Africa, where we meet a merc named Ali Al-Sachez, who is looking at the damage caused by the recent attack by Celestial Being. He gets a call from his company, PMC, or Private Military Company Trust. How original. He must return to the capital of the Republic of Moralia. He is excited that he will finally see some action. Back at the AEU, members of Parliament are discussing their options for what they should do for the Republic of Moralia. They ultimately decide to give aid and send in soldiers to help out the nation. Remember, the AEU still have not completed their orbital tower, so they are making constant decisions that make them seem like they aren't falling behind to other nations. It has been a week since Allelujah disobeyed Veda's orders. He was thrown into the brig since then. Taribia comes and talks shit. Taribia is written to be a badass, but I could never take this cardigan-ass wearing motherfucker seriously. Allelujah thinks that he is going to be taken off the Gundam, but he is still needed. They plan on taking actions against Moralia. Taribia and Allelujah prep for launch. Back at the HRL base on the orbital tower, they are examining Soma and wondering why she suddenly attacked Heaven's Pillar. The scientist expects that it was an external force and that her body is fine. Specifically, her quantum brainwaves enhanced her glial cells. The glial cells are actually a real thing and is a type of cell that provides physical and chemical support to neurons and maintain their environment. Good on the writers for not making up some magical biological process. The scientist puts a blocker in so this won't happen again. Back at the AEU, Marina is seeking out aid from the French. They say that it will be impossible to get aid without guaranteeing the safety of their technicians and that their country is too unstable currently. As she leaves, the French ambassador takes pity on her, knowing how young she is and the burden she bears for her country. The Ptolemaios crew, Sumeragi, Christina, and Felt Grace ride the elevator back down to Earth. Felt Grace gives a briefing on Moralia. 20% of all business within the AEU are controlled by PMC. They are also a for-profit military. Again, this seems to be a product of the AEU not wanting to fall too far behind and allowing business to come and shape a nation. Christina wonders why they have never actually been a target of Celestial Being. Sumeragi believes it is because it is a business and the way to target PMC isn't through war. No, because war is how they make their money. You beat them by simply letting the well dry up. However, Sumeragi points out that they thought they should have imploded from within by now. Back at the AEU, ace pilot Patrick Colasar does a Top Gun. He lands at Moralia to assist the nation and awaits for Celestial Being to make their move. Lock-On and Setsuna meet up with Ian Vashti. I believe he is technically a part of the Ptolemaios crew, but he is essentially the weapons guy. He is like the Q of this world. Dynamis is rocking a new Master Gundam look, while Exia receives the 7-sword system. These are swords with a GN blade. It is a blade doused with GN particles that makes the sword sharp enough to cut through E-carbon. This system actually makes Exia finally complete, as Setsuna was rocking a mobile suit not completely in spec. These blades also have the ability to cut through a GN field. The blades are stored in the left and right hip of Exia. The news is reporting on Operation Dawn, a joint exercise between the AEU and Moralia. While watching the news, Sumeragi happens to run into Billy. They were former college friends. They also both used to study under Ralph Eichmann, who Billy and Graham are currently under during this new mission to capture the Gundam. Billy tells Sumeragi that he believes Ralph may have stumbled onto a new particle that may put them on the level of the Gundam. One thing to note is that Sumeragi is a member of the AEU before joining Celestial Being, and Billy is a Union member. Billy alludes to a past incident that occurred between the two. Ali was earlier given the Enact custom to use to help capture the Gundam. The PCM was given one unit to use by the AEU. The AEU 09Y812 Al-Sachez's AEU Enact Custom has bigger power units and antenna receivers than the Enact. It also has upgraded weapons such as a blade rifle and the large sonic blade. The change in color from blue to red give it a plasma field resistant coating, but most importantly, it hides the AEU branding. Here is a new mobile suit. It also is equipped with a defense rod, missile launcher, and blade rifle. Wang gives the Ptolemaios team a place to work as command headquarters. Kiryo's Gundam is the first to go out and face the airborne forces. Virtue starts making its attack as well. Patrick notices and goes after the unit, but Gundam Virtue takes him out with ease. His fleet goes down, but his unit is only damaged. Exia makes its way to the battlefield. That is when Ali comes in and attacks him in the Anak custom. Setsuna instantly recognizes the voice of the pilot. He was the leader of KPSA, the child army that Setsuna was a part of. We start with the flashback of 2299 AD, where Ali tells a group of young terrorists that they will offer themselves to God for this holy war. In order to do that, however, they must kill their parents. Setsuna is one of these children. Setsuna snaps out of it and begins fighting Ali. Setsuna recognizes Ali's moves. He remembers shooting his mother. This enrages Setsuna, but he doesn't attack. He gets out of his cockpit and meets him face to face. He is going against Veda's mission by doing this. Ali takes off his helmet to confirm it is him. Suddenly, Dynamis comes in and breaks up the meeting. Sumeragi yells at Setsuna and tells him to move forward with Phase 6. Graham is watching the events go down. Also watching is Sergei, who thinks Moralia should surrender. PMC Trust execs are maddened by the more than usual losses they experience. The 4 Gundam pilots do a trench run. Tieria tells Setsuna that he will shoot him if he messes up again. Ali joins up with his squad and wonders for a moment if he knows the Gundam pilot. The Gundam pilots emerge from their trench run to find the Moralian headquarters. The Gundams go to town on the base and completely destroy it in less than 5 minutes. The Moralian forces send out a white flag. Their mission is complete. Graham, Billy, and Eichmann meet with one another. They think this will greatly benefit the AEU. Saji and Louise see a broadcast on Moralia. Saji ponders if Celestial Being was the one who saved their lives in space. On the beach, we get our first bright punch of the series. Lock-On punches him because he gave away his identity to Ali. Everyone points their guns at one another. Hara almost kills itself. Speaking of kills, Saji and Louise go out on the town when a bus explodes by them. Celestial Being is informed that there were 7 terrorist attacks simultaneously around the world. A total of 100 people lost their lives, and they seemed to focus their attacks on city infrastructure. Unless Celestial Being stops their actions, these terrorist attacks will continue. Tieria doesn't really care about the lives of civilians and wants to continue their operation. Lock-On yells at him for not having a soul. Setsuna unfortunately thinks that Tieria is correct. The 4 are all mad at the global terrorist network, but Lock-On more so than others. We get a flashback of similar bombings happening in his past. Hato recognizes that he is angry. Wang and Hong are looking into the terrorist organization. They get a notification of another bombing around Shanghai. Meanwhile, it is time for a beach episode. The Gundam Meisters meet up with the Ptolemaios team, but their meeting is abrupt as they head out to the next mission. At HRL, Sergei is informed of the terrorist attacks as well. Graham goes out in his custom flag as he grows impatient. Marina is still trying to get power for her nation. She is currently touring the AEU. Saji's sister Kinoe speculates that Celestial Being has an ulterior motive to their actions. Saji never thought that this would actually affect him. Everyone remains on standby in various locations throughout Earth, waiting for Veda to tell them their next move. Setsuna thinks of his past under the leadership of Ali. He gets a message to move forward on foot. At that same time, Marina gets escorted to her vehicle. Setsuna chases a brown coupe. At the same time, Marina passes by Setsuna. Setsuna goes in and tries to shoot the vehicle, but it gets away. A cop comes in and stops Setsuna, but Marina's car pulls up and saves him. She initially thought that he was from Azadistan, but he informs her that he is actually from Krugis, the land that her people took over. Awkward. Setsuna introduces himself as Kamal. He walks away, but she wants to talk to him longer. Meanwhile, Wang and Hong are able to get a lead on the terrorist network. Marina tells Setsuna about her nation's energy needs. He reminds her that people die while people talk, and that she is responsible for the downfall of Krugis. She wonders if he was one of the child soldiers back in the day. Setsuna tells her that he is still fighting. He tells her that he is a Gundam Meister, a part of Celestial Being. Wang finally decodes the terrorist network's message. The Gundam Meisters hop into action. Setsuna gets back in his Gundam. Meanwhile, the Ptolemaios team continues their beach episode. Virtue instantly takes out his terrorist objective with ease. Lock-On is using short-range weapons before moving on to sniping. Exia's objective is on the sea, but when he attacks the ships, a mobile armor drags him under the water. The MAJ-03 Sweet Chai is an aquatic mobile armor from the HRL. Like the Tierin ground type, the cockpit is monitorless, with the pilot viewing images and data via the head-mounted display system in the helmet, which I think sucks. Would you want a giant VR headset on your head while piloting? Let me know in the comments. It has a torpedo launcher and 3 claw arms for close combat. This is an older mobile armor, and in the 24th century, it doesn't really stand a chance to modern machines. Yeah, so anyways, Exia tears through the Swede shy. All Gundams have completed their mission and put a stop to the terrorists. Marina, continuing her tour, gets a visit from Setsuna and Gundam Exia to show he is telling the truth. Lock-on goes to visit a grave carrying flowers. He sees that someone else has already visited and wonders, could it be his twin brother? It is. Conflict has died down a little bit since Celestial Being's intervention. They haven't had a full-scale attack since the Battle of Moralia, but now HRL is making their moves. Sergei is prepping a squad to capture the Gundams. Of course, Soma is a part of his team. Exia and Dynamis dock with the Ptolemaios in space. We get the Haro team coming in and doing maintenance on the Gundam. Sergei's team is putting communication devices all throughout their sector of the solar tower. Since celestial beings' GN particles disrupt radar, they will place these everywhere and monitor where they lose communication. They are sure this is where celestial being will be. In Tokyo, Louise's mother has come to take Louise away, as she believes it is too dangerous there. Marina is meeting with the UN representative, Alejandro. It seems to be her final option. However, they have nothing to offer the UN, and wonder what value could be gained from an arrangement. HRL is prepping a mission to attack Celestial Being. Felt and Lock-on have a conversation. Felt tells Lock-on that her parents were second-generation Gundam Meisters, and today is the anniversary of their death. Lock-on says that she is very strong. He also tells Felt that his real name is Neil DeLandy, and he is from Ireland. He felt he should share since she shared her past. The bridge notices that HRL has sent out communication devices throughout space. Dynamis isn't prepared for battle, which is who Sumeragi wanted to send out. She instead sends out Virtue and Kyrios. Felt returns to the bridge as the pilots launch. Lock-on is impatient and gets in his Gundam as well. HRL notices that 3 split up on the radar and that Celestial Being is most likely trying to bait them. Sergei decides to go for the bait. Tierin's launch from the Lauhu. Sergei spots the Ptolemaios for the first time. The EDI 402 Lauhu class ship is an HRL space carrier. It has the ability to hold up to 12 mobile suits. It's mainly used for transport, but it is equipped with missile launchers, a linear cannon, and a laser cannon. Virtue and Kyrios strike down the Lauhus, but they have already launched their mobile suits and abandoned these ships. It was a way to waste the 2 mobile suits' time. It will take 6 minutes for them to return to the Ptolemaios. Sumeragi learns of Sergei Smirnov, the White Bear of Russia. Dynamis and Exia launch. The leg of the Dynamis hasn't been fixed yet, so he has to find a good spot to camp. The Ptolemaios cuts their power and hides within the solar tower. Dynamis shoots at HRL mobile suits. He adjusts manually and fires on the missiles heading towards the Ptolemaios. It is a direct hit. They fire again, but Lock-on uses its small missiles from its knees and fires on the Lauhu. It destroys the ship. Sumeragi turns back on the GN field of the Ptolemaios. More Tiedans approach them. Exia goes in and does some close combat damage, but they begin to spread out. Lock-on is struggling to get a shot. Felt realizes that the HRL is after the Gundam and not the Ptolemaios. On his way back to the ship, Kyrios runs into a series of mines. Another HRL fleet launches, including Soma and the Tierin Taotsu. Her appearance causes Allelujah to panic. As Setsuna picks off the HRL mobile suits, he realizes that they are trying to buy time for some reason. Soma and Allelujah meet on the battlefield. Tierins go in and use a carbon net on Kyrios, trapping it. Soma gets in close to the Gundam. Sergei recognizes Allelujah's voice from their past incident. He then realizes that the brainwaves interfering with Soma is this Gundam pilot. Allelujah passes out. Dynamis, Exia, and the Ptolemaios have their hands full. They have no clue where Tieria or Allelujah are. HRL spots a heat source. It is the bazooka of Gundam Virtue. He comes in and helps Kyrios. He maximizes his GN field and preps his bazooka again. Tieria says that Allelujah is not worthy of piloting the Gundam. Suddenly, Soma and the Tierin Taotsu comes in and attacks Virtue. Soma is too fast for Virtue's chunkiness. Tieria uses the Gundam's GN cannon and vaporizes Soma's legs. Tierins go and back up Soma. On the Lauhu, a team is trying to break into Gundam Kyrios. Allelujah finally snaps out of it, most likely as Hallelujah, and makes his escape with his GN beam saber. Sergei notices that Ship 4 has been lost. He goes in to capture Gundam Virtue. He fires his bazooka, but he is too slow. They surround and use their carbon wire launcher on Virtue. It tries to keep the Gundam in place, but he maxes out the Geon field. His Gundam has more force than 6 Tierans. Soma comes in and attacks while Tieria is tied down. Tieria has no choice but to activate Natalie. The Geon 004 Gundam Natalie is a mobile suit that exists within Virtue Gundam. When activated, its main feature, the trial system, is also activated. This allows the mobile suit to deactivate any mobile suit within its range that is connected to Veda. Only Innovators can use the trial system. He sheds his armor to reveal the slimmer mobile suit underneath Virtue. He is able to break free from the restraints and go to town on HRL. Tieria is upset that he showed off Natalie to the public sooner than he planned. He cries to Veda for being a fuck-up like the rest of the celestial being. Yeah, not completely perfect, are you? You are still part human, bitch. Setsuna and Dynamics are fighting furiously when HRL gets a retreat signal. The Ptolemaios goes out to find Virtue and Kyrios. As Sergei and Soma make the retreat, they run into Allelujah, who made his escape. He recognizes Soma as the same as him and goes in to attack. The Tieran Taotsu notes that he is just playing with her and isn't doing any real damage. Sergei is too valuable, so one of his men goes in and assists Soma, but Kyrios tears through him with ease. Soma and Sergei don't let their comrade's sacrifice go to waste and retreat. The soldier tells Allelujah as his Tieran is on the verge of destruction that one day he will get his comeuppance. Allelujah is mad and melts the dude from the inside. Allelujah tries to take control of Allelujah. He is eventually able to get control of the body and feels regret for that soldier. He recognizes himself as a monster. Exia, Dynamics, and the Ptolemaios notice that Natalie has been activated. Everyone is frustrated that they can't somehow mess up the mission. Wang and Hong wonder why Veda chooses those with imperfections. Meanwhile, Alejandro of the UN and Ribbons simply wait to make their move. At the Union's Anti-Gundam Investigative Task Force, Graham and his men Howard and Daryl are talking about the Gundam being able to take on 20 Tierans with ease. Of course, they are talking about Tieria using Natalie for the first time. Graham believes that it is up to him and his flag fighters to take down the Gundams. Billy and Eichmann discuss the GM particles. Billy wonders why Aeolia Schomburg wants to give up war. Eichmann thinks that it is a warning that war must not spread into space with humanity, almost as if it were a disease. On the mission, Tieria is being uptight for things going wrong during the previous mission. They all make fun of him after he leaves. Yeah, bitch-ass cardigan-wearing pink-ass bitch. Allelujah is in his quarters. He is certain that the pilot of the Tieran Taotsu is just like him. We get flashes of his past. At the HRL, Sergei is being chastised by his superior officer Kim, but he is not being taken off the program. They didn't get enough data for how many lives they lost, but they don't think they should try to capture the Gundam anymore. One of the super soldier scientists is monitoring the communications of Allelujah and notes that the pilot was affected by quantum brainwaves due to his pain and unique reaction. He finds one match to a former super soldier, one boy whose quantum brainwaves created a second personality with ferocious tendencies. He was eventually disposed of. Sergei calls in and wonders if he found any correlations between the Gundam pilot and the super soldier program. However, the scientist lies and tells him that he hasn't found anything. Allelujah wonders if he should kill the super soldiers that are just like him. Allelujah appears to him and tells him that he knows very well they can't keep super soldiers hostage and they must be put down. Allelujah yells out to himself like a crazy person. Setsuna overhears him. In Azadistan, Alejandro is helping out Marina and her nation. They are planning on putting solar receivers throughout the nation to assist with their power needs. Alejandro and the UN wants to use Azadistan as an example of how to bring peace in the Middle East. I can't even say it with a straight face. It's great. They suggest that she goes to the construction site of the solar receivers, but Marina's assistant, Shirin, comes in and tells her that that is a good way to get Marina assassinated. Allelujah talks to Sumeragi. He proposes a mission to her and Veda, a mission to eradicate his past. He gives Sumeragi this universe's version of a USB drive with data regarding the HRL Super Soldier program. Back with Louise and Saji in Japan, Saji tries to impress Louise's mother with a Japanese home-cooked meal. She is mildly impressed. Saji's sister Kinoe is trying to track down information regarding Aeolia Schomburg. Her partner is nervous following the Union's national security agents. Veda decided that Allelujah's mission is worth pursuing, but Sumeragi makes absolutely sure that he is up to the task since it is tied to his past. He doesn't have a problem and wants to face it head on. Setsuna and Lock-On are assigned a mission to head down to Earth and deal with the South African War. The Ptolemaios begins heading to the HRL colony at L4 where the Super Soldier program was created. Inside his supercomputer pod that communicates with Veda, Tieria spies on Sumeragi and Allelujah's conversation. You can't trust Innovators when it comes to internet security, man. In South Africa, Setsuna stabs a bunch of amphs, while Lock-On does a little sniping. In space, Kyrios and Virtue Gundam launch and head to the HRL space colony Quan Chi. Virtue handles the mobile suits on the outside of the colony, while Kyrios goes inside. Allelujah mentions something you don't hear too often. Once he enters the colony, he has to adjust his ambac system to rotate at the same rate as the colony to compensate for the artificial gravitational pull. When he enters the colony, quantum waves are emitted and he feels pain. Allelujah reaches out to him and makes fun of him for hesitating. Allelujah calls him a hypocrite and says not to show any mercy. He sees flashbacks of Allelujah killing other super soldier children. He is overwhelmed by the thoughts of his past. He begins firing on the colony and the Super Soldier Institute. At HRL, Sergei approaches the scientist and tells him that the Gundam pilot attacked the Super Soldier Institute. It is clear that the Gundam pilot was a former Super Soldier candidate and that he withheld information from Sergei. He uses his power to shut down the Super Soldier program and arrests the scientist. On the Ptolemaios, Allelujah asks Sumeragi for a drink. She says no because he is underage, but he just turned 20 a few minutes ago. I talked in the last Iron Mustang video about Hatachi and the importance of 20 years of age. Go check that out. The two share a drink together. He wonders why people drink something so bitter. In a mosque in Azadistan, the conservatives are upset that Marina is disturbing God's will. Now that she is receiving help from the UN, they believe that their country will become reformists and fall, just like Krugis once did. They are all looking to Rassam Assad Rashmati for words of wisdom. This man maintains some semblance of peace amongst the conservative party of his nation. He will soon fall, and the people will once again resort to war to achieve their goals. Yeah, that never happens in real life. Suddenly, several bandits come in with guns. Over the past few decades, the Middle East has gone through much turmoil. You think they are going through trouble now when they actually have oil? Wait until the solar tower is created, which eliminates the world's need for oil. Because of this, the region broke out into wars, and many areas dissolved and reunited over the years, just constantly absorbing and breaking off with one another. This became the Solar Power Wars. 6 years ago, we witnessed this happen to Setsuna's homeland of Krugis. Azadistan took advantage of a time of turmoil and absorbed the territory while restoring their monarchy. Because of this, modern-day Azadistan is now broken up into two religious sects. Yep, not like real life at all. Civil unrest continues as some people demand that the UN leave the territory. You think this UN actually has power in this universe, unlike our UN? Oh, got him! Take that, world leaders! Wang and Hong Long are trying to get into contact with the Ptolemaios, but they are still making their return from HRL. They are concerned about civil war breaking out. Alejandro contacts Wang and lets her know that he plans on staying in the Middle East for now, and he wants to see how this plays out with his own eyes. Kino and his workmates are still investigating Aeolia Schönberg. They found out that 138 engineers and doctors disappeared around Aeolia's time. The newsroom gets word that Rashmati has been kidnapped.
あなたサジ君って言ったわよね。
You know his name. It's been a few days. She's just trying to be rude on purpose now. Marina remembers a time when she met with Rashmati before becoming the princess of the newly formed Azadistan. He tells her that in order to prevent her from committing violence, there must be a figure who could take in their feelings and calm their fears. The conservatives are boycotting Assembly of Parliament, and the reformists were secretly approached by the Union to seek military aid from them. It seems they are trying to provoke the conservatives into doing something explosive? Suicide bombing joke. No, you're right, I'm better than that. Graham's team is making its way to Azadistan. Over the Middle East, Wang picks up Setsuna and Lock-On. They need to go in and find Rashmati to prevent chaos from breaking out. Setsuna volunteers as this is his homeland. It seems that the reformists aren't the ones behind the kidnapping. It is either a false flag done by the conservatives themselves, or it is a third party. Setsuna fits the part and heads into town. He flashes back to his childhood. Everyone seems to be looking at him. He sees a poster of Marina and recalls meeting her. A man approaches him and starts being racist. We find out that the one in charge of kidnapping Rashmati is Ali. At the solar receiver, a group of amps begin fighting with its own people. During this time, Graham and his team come in and are confused by who is fighting who. A sniper blast begins taking out the amps. It is Lock-On and Gundam Dynamics. Out of nowhere, Ali actually expected the Gundam and begins firing a barrage towards Lock-On. There are too many missiles for him to snipe. It hits and destroys the solar receiver. Above all the action, Graham and his team is watching. They go after Ali, but Lock-On begins shooting Graham's flag custom. He rushes towards Lock-On, closing the gap. Graham is able to kick the Gundam. The two begin using melee weapons, but Lock-On does damage to the flag. Lock-On has Hato transfer all GM particles to the weapon system, but before he fires, an emergency broadcast goes out that mobile suits are approaching the palace. The two halt their firing. 5 mobile suits have been taken from the Azadistan base. Marina knows that they are heading to the palace, and this is a coup. Graham decides to go give aid to the palace and ignore the Gundam for now. Setsuna is in the city and taking care of amps, heading towards the palace. Alejandro watches him fight in the Gundam and notes he simply uses brute force. Wang tells Setsuna of incoming mobile suits. He heads to the location, to Krugis, his former home. He flashes back to the past conflict and all the death. This enrages Setsuna, and he goes in and destroys all of the amps. He looks on the battlefield and sees dead children, no different than him 6 years ago. I guess except alive. The Ptolemaios gets back to the Earth sphere and finally gets the message regarding the action of the Middle East. Lock-On and Dynamics flies over the former Krugis area and sees nothing but destruction and death around Setsuna and Exia Gundam. Are you a Gundam or are you not? Get it together. Azadistan is in turmoil after the coup. Things have since settled down, but there is constant unrest everywhere. The conservatives are still mad that Rashmati has gone missing. Marina gives a speech, easing the minds of her people. It has gotten to a point where Celestial Being is now stepping in to handle their nation. Lock-On is talking to Wang. He explains to her that it was an organized attack on the solar antenna by Mobile Suit, and that this was done by a third party designed to create internal conflict. Setsuna goes to investigate the area where missiles were launched during the coup, but he spots Graham and Billy also investigating. He hides, but Billy is able to spot him. He pretends to be a local, but Graham recognizes that he has a gun behind his back. Rather than engaging, he says out loud that the Moralian enact has gone missing. Graham, suspecting Setsuna, leaves a breadcrumb for him. Of course, he is talking about Ali's enact. But Setsuna wonders why a former leader of a Krugis child army is causing civil unrest now. As a terrorist attack takes place below, above is Howard and Daryl scouting in the area with their flags. The leader of a failing country decides to cry. One of her servants comes in and holds her at gunpoint for failing her nation. Marina's security guards take her out. She continues crying. Since Ali may be involved, Setsuna has an idea where to look. He and Lock-On head out towards the location. Hong Long joins Lock-On in Dynamics. He finds Ali, who launches while his team gets Rashmati out of there. The two engage in battle. Ali is surprisingly holding his own against the GN particle machine. Exia takes out Anak's arm and Ali retreats. Meanwhile, Ali's team gets Rashmati out of there, but Dynamics catches up to them. Hong Long does some ninja shit while Lock-On snipes from afar. Setsuna backs them up and comes to pick up Rashmati. On the Ptolemy, Tieria is upset about the latest changes to the mission that Sumeragi made, but Allelujah thinks that Sumeragi's plan is the best option they have. At the palace, Marina gets word that Celestial Being has Rashmati and they plan negotiations. Everyone gathers at the palace. Graham is there watching everything go down. Setsuna and the Gundam arrives. It didn't bring any weapons. Some conservative rebels fire on the Gundam along with some amps, but it does nothing. He walks up to the palace and gives Rashmati to Marina. She asks if he really is Setsuna F-Sei, but he doesn't respond and tells her that what comes next is up to her. Exia makes his leave. The flags want to attack, but it was a peaceful interaction for the most part. If Union mobile suits were to suddenly attack the Gundam, they will be the ones who look like the enemy. Rashmati told the world that his kidnappers were mercenaries trying to create conflict and prevent the modernization of Azadistan. No one knows who this is, however. No one except Setsuna. The reformists and conservatives finally come to an agreement, but civil unrest still continues. JNN is broadcasting a roundtable regarding Celestial Being potentially working on GN particle technology for decades. In between the moon and Earth is Lagrange Point 1, where there exists a Union space colony. Near there is an asteroid field where Celestial Being has a remote satellite. On the Ptolemy is Ian and Allelujah. Back on Earth is Sumeragi and the rest of the Ptolemy bridge crew. Wang says that humanity needs to look towards colonies for the future, but Sumeragi believes humans are selfish by nature and it will be a while till that happens. Lock-on ignores the crew while looking at a memorial and being reminded of his past. Kinoe's boss loves the latest broadcast and wants to make more, but Kinoe wants to continue researching Aeolia Schoenberg. He allows her to continue research, but says that she may end up digging a hole that she can't crawl out of. Louise's mother finally leaves. As she takes off, Setsuna the Gundam returns to cosplaying as a human. Saji asks him for a favor. Meanwhile, the nations begin working together to try to lure the Gundam Meisters into a trap. Graham, Howard, and Daryl look up in the sky to find 12 flags flying in formation. These are ace pilots from the best squad coming together. I mean, this is just Top Gun. Graham says that their anti-Gundam unit has been named the Overflags. Each pilot will have their own custom flag designed specifically by Eichmann. At the same time, Soma and Sergei of the HRL are prepping for deployment. Meanwhile, Patrick Colasar of the AEU is making out with someone before he realizes that he has to do an overused "I'm late" cliche. His commanding officer punches him, and he is suddenly in love. Sumeragi gets a message on a civilian line. It happens to be Billy, who has some information for her. Setsuna is hanging out with Saji and Louise, who is sad her mother is gone, when Setsuna gets a message and has to leave. The military joint venture is disguising itself as a training exercise. Sumeragi meets with Billy, who actually gives her data on the simulation. He wants to know what he would do in her situation. He also asks her if she would like to come visit Eichmann, but she declines. One Overflag member, Joshua Edwards, talks shit about Graham, as he is known in some circles to have killed his old superior officer, even though it was merely a duel to see which mobile suit the Union would adopt. Sumeragi, of course, analyzed Billy's data and gave it to Veda. Veda is certain the attack is going to happen over the Taklamakan Desert in China. Setsuna takes a detour to Azadistan to have a Batman moment with Marina. At the AEU French Foreign Legion base, Ali is meeting with an officer under the name Gary Biaggi. He has been assigned to Agrissa, which was used during the Fifth Solar Conflict. A total of 52 teams and 832 mobile suits will be participating in the joint venture. The Gundam's tech is far beyond theirs, so their goal is a war of attrition. The Gundam heads towards the desert where enriched uranium is buried. Sergei gets orders to capture the Gundams with his team. He is starting to realize that this is all a setup. These random rogue terrorists were set up to lure out the Gundams. Gundam Dynames is riding on top of Gundam Kyrios. As they fly over the desert, Lock-on begins sniping. They are able to take out the terrorists. That is when everyone moves. That is a lot of missile pods heading their way. Ooh, there's missile pods on top of missile pods. That looks painful. They take evasive maneuvers. The Ptolemy tells Exia and Virtue to begin. They uncloak themselves and begin attacking a team of Rialdos. Tieria uses the Gian bazooka to take out all enemies in front of him while creating a trench. Lock-on recognizes that Setsuna and Tieria are on the battlefield and proceed with Plan B. Allelujah starts freaking out. This sensation means that Soma is on the battlefield. Soma's Tierin Tautsu begins attacking Allelujah. She is dominating Kyrios Gundam. Allelujah can't handle it. He turns into Hallelujah. The AEU commander kept Patrick on standby. It has been 5 hours since the fighting has begun. Now is Patrick's time to launch. The Gundam pilots are all getting tired. Graham and his team launches in the new Overflags. The SV-MS-010 Overflag is a variant of the original Union flag and similar in many ways to Graham's custom flag. This version of the mobile suit has a high-speed flight mode, which is very hard to control, but gives the unit incredible speed. The black color is due to its anti-beam coating, which helps against the Gundam's beam attacks. It is equipped with a new Trident Striker linear rifle, which was redesigned to improve aerodynamics and improve output. It is also equipped with a 20mm machine gun, a defense rod, a plasma sword, and the same leg missiles used in flight mode. The bombardment finally stops, and that is when Setsuna and Tieria split up and retreat. Patrick Colasar comes in to attack Gundam Virtue. His mission is to try to capture the Gundam. Soma is trying to capture Hallelujah. That is when the Overflags come in. Joshua Edwards gets cocky and breaks formation. He goes in and is instantly destroyed by Lock-on. Setsuna is the only one that was able to break free. That is when he spots a mobile armor. It is the Agrissa. The AEU MA07013 Agrissa Type 13 is a mobile armor that docks with Ali's custom enact. This was created by the AEU during the Fifth Solar Power War. The unit is designed to surround the mobile suit and use its plasma cannon to immobilize the pilot without destroying the mobile suit. It is also solar power. This mobile suit is also equipped with a plasma field, a melee claw, a blade rifle, and a large sonic blade. The Agrissa is able to hold down Exia and use the plasma field on the unit. Setsuna thinks he is going to die, so naturally he thinks about the time that he murdered his parents. He reminds himself that he is a Gundam, and he remembers when he saw O Gundam when he was younger. That is when Agrissa is attacked. Ali's Enact custom ejects from the mobile armor before it gets destroyed. Setsuna looks up to see Gundam thrown dry. The GNW 003 Gundam Thrown Dry is the third unit of Team Trinity, with the other two being the Ions and the Zwei. All three of these units are designed for support. This unit has a GN stealth field and is designed for scouting and searching. Due to its role, it doesn't have the best offensive capabilities. Like its sister units, this mobile suit is based off of the O Gundam. The pilot, Nina Trinity, isn't capable of processing all the intel data herself, so she has a Hado equipped to help her out. This unit also utilizes the GN Drive Tau. This is inferior to the GN drives found on the Ptolemaios Gundams, as it requires an external power source to power the GN particles, or activate them. I'm not really sure, it's kind of vague. This produces red GN particles instead of the green particles, and they are considered toxic. The Crimson Gundam pilot asks if Setsuna is okay. She introduces herself as Gundam Meister Nana Trinity. Patrick Colasar and his team have Gundam Virtue surrounded when a beam attack hits Patrick and destroys his Enact. His team is taken out one by one. It is Gundam Throne Eins. The GNW-1 Gundam Throne Eins is the first of the Throne Gundams and focuses on high power and long range attacks. This unit is built off of O Gundam and has a similar sniper rifle to Dynamis. The GN launcher has two powerful firing modes when Eins connects and receives GN particles from the other Gundam thrones, as will be seen a little later. Other weapons include the GN beam rifle used for closer range attacks. This weapon can also shoot a smokescreen. It is also equipped with a GN shield and a GN beam saber. This also uses the GN drive Tau. Tieria notes the red glow from the unit. Soma and her team are taking Allelujah as a prisoner. She notes that he is like her. Like the Enact team, so too is this team attacked by a Gundam. It is Gundam Throne Zwei. The GNW-2 Gundam Throne Zwei specializes in close and medium range combat. This unit uses a huge GN Buster Sword as its main weapon. High-density GN particles are stored in the GN Buster Sword's center, and they are released the moment the weapon is swung. GN particles allow it to change weight on impact. These were developed off of the O Gundam, and like the other thrones, it uses the GN Drive Tau. This unit also utilizes the GN Fang, which is similar to funnels, which are controlled by the bit control system. Other weapons include the GN handgun and a GN beam saber. The pilot, Michael Trinity, continues his attack. Meanwhile, Lock-On is being attacked by Graham and his overflag team, when the Gundam Throne Eins comes in and begins picking off some of the flags. The Union pilots begin falling back. Johann Trinity introduces himself to Lock-On. Their mission is complete. Nina, in the Throne Dry, begins using a new GN particle dispersion method known as a GN stealth field. Originally, the GN particles generated by a Gundam alone would provide stealth through communication and radar disruption, but the world's military forces caught on by casting a wider network. The stealth field goes even bigger and blankets out all communication with the exception of human eyeballs. Graham begins calling in for reinforcements when his signal is lost. Everyone at home base is happy the mission was successful, but Sumeragi is confused of the how and the why. Meanwhile, back with the president of the Union, he wonders if Celestial Being planned this the whole time. Oh right, I can't talk about the Union president without our good buddy Bush. Get on out here, don't be shy. Every single nation is realizing that they fell right into a trap. Louise wonders why Saji is tired. He was up all night watching breaking news on the Celestial Being intervention and barely got any sleep. Louise is more concerned about her exams. Alejandro has been summoned by the Celestial Being observers. So what is an observer? We know Gundam Meisters are the ones who go out on the mission. An observer watches the Meisters who collectively work together. Alejandro and Ribbons Almark are observers, but not to be confused with agents, which help on the supply, intel, and transport side. This is Wang and Hong's job. He speaks to other observers who are transmitting their voice and are represented by artwork. He called the meeting about the 3 new Gundams. Everyone else is concerned because the Trinity isn't a part of Veda's plan. We get a brief flashback of the Celestial Being missions thus far. You could skip to the end of this episode where ultimately all they could do is vote on whether the Trinity stays or goes. They decide to keep the Trinity team as a part of Celestial Being for now. They are in the Trinity Mothership heading to meet their new teammates. The Trinity Mothership is a mobile suit space carrier and home to the Trinity team. It looks like a satellite with 3 containers at the tip, which is home to the Gundam thrones. This ship uses the GN Drive Tau as their main source of power. just like the Gundam Thrones. Its only weapon is a GN beam cannon and relies mainly on the Gundams for defense. They approach the Ptolemaios. 80 years ago, some men explore an abandoned ship somewhere around Jupiter. While searching the ship, they find a purple Hado. They take it with them. In the present, on the Ptolemaios, the crew is also curious about the new Gundams. Sumeragi notes that they don't resemble first or second generation celestial being tech. She scans the ship. The Trinity team and their purple Hado prep for their meeting. The Throne Ainz carries the other two Trinity pilots to the Ptolemy. Setsuna was on standby, but he isn't needed. They give them permission to board. They board and introduce themselves. We learn that they are actual siblings. Nina asks, who is the Exia pilot? Setsuna introduces himself and Nina proceeds to kiss him. She pushes him away and the two groups begin to argue. Lakan's Hado comes in, calling Nina's Hado brother. But the purple Hado is like, bitch, I don't know you. They head to the briefing room. They wonder why there isn't any data about them in Veda. They can't answer that question. Lakan asks where they acquired their GN drive. They can't answer that question either. Taribia is like, yeah, screw this, and leaves.
惜しいね。女だったらほっとけねえのによ。
Dude is questioning his own sexuality in front of me. Look inward, don't project it out. Johan tells them that essentially he believes the one giving them orders are doubting the Ptolemaios crew's methods. They aren't being replaced, but their crew will run their own orders while the Ptolemaios crew does their own thing. Sumeragi wonders if this is Aeolia Schönberg's big plan. Johan tells her that answer will come soon. These vague as fuck assholes. Taribia is mad at the new crew, but he is going to use this time to talk to Veda in the supercomputer. However, Nina happens to be in there. She claims she was just wandering around. The Trinity leave back to their ship. They didn't get any intel from them, but while they were talking, Ian Vashti was inspecting Gundam Throne Ainz. Sumeragi tells him to take the data and enter it in an isolated terminal and to not upload it to Veda. As Trinity takes off, they are already given a new mission. Kinaway is at JNN when an assistant tells her about the new Gundam. She wants to meet with someone who ran into these new Gundams ASAP. The Overflag team is talking about the new Gundam when Graham gets a call. Unknown units have entered Union airspace. At the Union, Eichmann remembers that there was an expedition to Jupiter 200 years ago and wonders if this is connected to the Gundam. His computer is hacked. Like something out of an early 2000s TV show, his screen says he knows too much. The alarm goes off. The Gundam Thrones approaches the base. Nina connects her Gundam to Johan's. The Throne Ainz fires its mega launcher on the Union base. The blast destroys every building and vaporizes Eichmann. Graham's team finally makes it back to base. Billy informs him that Eichmann has been killed. Enraged that his mentor is dead, he rushes in. They all begin attacking Johan's Gundam first. One flag member, Howard, rushes in and Johan takes him out. No, not Howard. Their flags aren't a part of their mission, which is now complete. They must retreat. The Ptolemaios crew is informed of the Throne's attack. Setsuna wonders if they are real Gundam Meisters. As the Trinity team finishes their attack on another base, Nina unleashes the GN stealth field as they make their escape. This is their 7th attack, each one successful. The Ptolemy has been on standby while the new team handles business. The Union president meets with his top brass. They believe this was caused after the joint operation. The EAU is also discussing their next move. Wang meets with Alejandro, but his knowledge on the Trinity team is limited to his Veda access level. He tells her what you already know. Alejandro has no reason to believe that this wasn't a part of Aeolia's plan, but some are concerned this is a pivot by Veda. The Ptolemy team all discuss the data that Ian collected. It appears that their solar panels are similar, but not 100%, which leads them to believe that the Trinity team is not celestial being. These are Gundam copies, and they are pretending to be Gundam Meisters, which means someone had a certain level of access to Veda and stole it. It confirms there is a traitor within the organization. Taribia is connecting with Veda. When he hits access level 7, he notices that data has been modified. When he goes to access it, he is denied. Veda is doing something. Graham and Daryl go to visit Howard's grave. He puts his death all on himself. They salute his tombstone and promise to take down the Gundams in his name. Kinaway meets in a bar with her contact who was close to the Gundam. He is a Rialdo pilot who was shot down. While getting to safety, he saw the Gundam. He heard Nina, the pilot, say, "Notify Laguna." She gives him some money to stay quiet about the incident. As the Rialdo pilot leaves the bar and heads home, he is shot and murdered. Louise visits her family in Spain to attend a relative's wedding. She is having a conversation with Saji on the phone when their connection goes out. That is when the Throne Gundams fly over. As they fly over, Nina is annoyed by the rich people having a good time. So just for the hell of it, she says "F these newlyweds" and attacks the wedding. An explosion goes off. Louise gets up to see her parents and the majority of the guests murdered. Nina attacks again and causes rubble to fall on Louise. She is in critical condition. Saji is not able to get into contact with Louise. He is informed by the school that there was an accident in Spain. He rushes across the world to be with her. He is confused about what is going on. Graham talks to Billy. Billy believes Eichmann was on the verge of a breakthrough. He was very close to figuring out the GM particles, which is why Billy believes he was targeted. They get a red alert. The Gundams are attacking a nearby weapons factory. Graham hops into action in his overflag. He approaches and begins attacking Johann and his thrown Eins. He is able to keep up and actually slices off the Gundam's arm. Johann retreats. Graham coughs up blood. He took a lot of G's to keep up in that fight. Lock-On informs Setsuna about the Trinity attacking a civilian wedding. This enrages him, and he runs into action. Sumeragi gets a message from Billy. She informs her that Eichmann was killed during a Gundam attack. They also have another problem to deal with. Saji makes it to the hospital in Spain where he finds Luis's room. He gives Louise the ring he has been working hard to buy her. Before going into a long diatribe about his love for her, she stops him and tells her that she can't wear the ring. She reveals to Saji that she lost her left hand during the incident. Oh my god, so dramatic. Use the other hand. Oh, am I ruining the moment? My bad. He learns that her entire family was killed during the event as well. As the Throne Gundams finish another mission, they are attacked by Setsuna and Exia. Setsuna is taking this into his own hands, claiming the Trinity is promoting conflict. They engage in battle. Exia goes in to attack Nina, but Mikhail blocks it. They wonder why Exia is attacking as they are on the same side. He says wrong. They are not working towards the same objective, and those things they are piloting aren't Gundams. He should know. He is one. He continues attacking Mikhail, but Johann begins attacking at long range. Mikhail uses his Gian fangs. Exia is able to take most of them out, but a few attack him from behind. A bazooka blast takes out the remaining fangs. It is Gundam Virtue. In space, the Ptolemaios crew is monitoring the situation and not sure what to make of it. Some think they are interfering, but Sumeragi believes they are given such vague instructions that this could all be a part of Veda's plan. Lock-On sends a coded message to the ship. Sumeragi tells him to try to stop fighting if he can, but she will respect his tactical decisions to whatever outcome he decides. Allelujah decides to stay and protect Ptolemaios. Lock-On launches from his location on Earth. He kind of understands where Setsuna is coming from. Alejandro notes to Ribbons that things are moving faster than he expected and they are moving into Phase 3. Tieria and Setsuna work together. Gundam Virtue creates a giant Gian field. Setsuna hides behind Gundam Virtue and does a sneak attack while Tieria fires its bazooka from afar. Christina tells Sumeragi that Exia and Virtue are using tactical formations. She is amazed that Setsuna and Tieria are working together. Tieria gets in close and activates the trial system, unleashing Natalie. He activates the trial field. This is an invisible field that instantly shuts off any system connected to Veda. He says that they are not worthy of being called Gundam Meisters and goes in to attack the helpless Throne Gundams. But suddenly, the trial system disengages and the Thrones can move again. Tieria notes that someone forcibly deactivated the trial system. He then recalls when he was connected to Veda and wasn't able to access some files. He is now certain Veda is changing something. The Thrones go in for an attack, but Lock-On and Dynamis begin sniping. The Trinity team needs to retreat, but before they do, Johann reveals that he knows Lock-On's real name is Neil Delandi. Tieria realizes Johann has level 7 access to Veda. He reveals to Lock-On that the people who killed his parents were the child soldiers Setsuna was a part of. He realizes Setsuna is responsible for his parents' death. The Trinity team drops that knowledge bomb, and then they bail. All of the nations, including the Union President and his good buddy Bush, are informed that the Gundams are divided in their ranks. Saji brings Louise flowers when she tells him to go back to Japan. She says that his dreams is to one day go into space, and she believes that she will just hold him back. She makes him promise to make his dreams come true before he departs. Kinoe meets with one of her contacts who gives her information on a man called Laguna Harvey. He seems to be a very powerful man who helped create the linear elevator. Her editor suggests that she not mess with someone this powerful, but she is willing to take the chance. Setsuna tries to explain to Lock-On, but he already knows. Lock-On goes on a rant about how the people of the Middle East suffered the most in the name of solar power, and many of their people went into the hands of their gods. In reality, they fled into the hands of the rich people, using the poor and the hopeless to enact war crimes in the name of their god. This led to the solar wars and the rise of child guerrilla groups like KPSA. Lock-On wants to kill Setsuna, but he doesn't. Setsuna tells him that there is no god, and it is all thanks to Ali al-Sechez. He tells them that he was the leader of KPSA and is now helping PMC. Setsuna says that he will continue fighting to eradicate war and that he is a Gundam.
俺がガンダムだ。
In Antarctica, some people find underground what looks like GN drives. Saji flashes back to when he was talking to a nurse about Louise's hand. The beam weapons have affected the cells around the area, and they won't be able to regenerate her hand. We will learn this is the deteriorating effect of the red GN tau particles. Also, I totally missed this on the first watch 14 years ago, but they could regrow limbs? That's pretty cool. Let's see more of that at the UN in New York. The Union, the HRL, and the AEU form a military alliance in an attempt to stop celestial being terrorists. We go live to what Bush has to say on the subject.
We must stop the terror. Now watch this drive.
Marina wonders if this was celestial beings' plan from the beginning. Setsuna, Tieria, and Lock-On are on an island. They note that many of the armies have been greatly damaged over the last month by the hands of Trinity, so they wonder what this joint venture will do in their current situation. All of this doesn't sit right with Tieria after getting locked out of Veda. They all get an encrypted message to return to the Ptolemaios. Sumeragi tells Ian to go pick up the GN arms. Graham asks Billy about the GN beam saber, but they are far past that now. It seems Celestial Being leaked information and they were able to obtain GN drives. The UN is providing 30 machines for them to test the drives on, 10 for each nation. Billy says this is why the world is able to make such a statement pointing to the news about the alliance. He says the overflags will be leading these new machines, but Graham outright refuses and he says he will defeat the Gundam with his flag. At HRL, they are also given an opportunity to use these new GN drive mobile suits. Sergei is given command of these new units for HRL, but he also appears hesitant. Soma, however, isn't and instantly volunteers herself to be a pilot. At the AEU, certainly they must be focusing on the mission at hand. Nope, Patrick Colasar asks his commanding officer out on a date. The AEU is all about outsourcing their problems to immigrants. Meanwhile, the immigrant Ali is trying to get his hands on one of the new machines. I was trying to make a joke, don't make it a reality. He talks to Laguna Harvey to see if he could use his influence to get him a new mobile suit. He doesn't care if it's working for the Union or the AEU. He wants to pay back Exia for their previous encounter. As he leaves, Kinoue is spying and notes that he must be the person Laguna was meeting with. He stops Ali's car and asks him a question, but he is in a rush, so she has to get in. Is it worth the story to get in the car with a stranger? Kinoue says yes. She asks if he met with Laguna, and Ali, pretending to be an AEU rep, says he's trying to procure goods. He just outright tells her he is trying to get his hands on a GN drive and explains they are powering the Gundams. He even tells her that he creates child soldiers and is a warmonger. Nice, I tell women that all the time. It is all about taking away as much comfort as possible. That's what I always say. After their conversation, he calls Laguna and says that he took care of the problem. Saji makes it back to Japan. He is a sad boy. Aw, cheer up, at least you still have your sister. Kinoue looks at a picture of Saji and her father before bleeding out and dying. Meanwhile, Ribbons and Alejandro head to space. Remember, Alejandro is an observer, but he is also a UN ambassador. He is the one who sold out Celestial Being. Wang and Hong Long meet with the Trinity team. She simply wanted to say hello and to inform them that they are here at their disposal. They wonder why Celestial Being attacked them. She says that she is merely an observer and not necessarily on either side. As they leave, Hong Long wonders if this is the right hand to play. She says that the world must change or she is going to allow it to fall to pieces. The Gundam Meisters make it back to the Ptolemaios when they see the Trinity team move out for the next mission. Their target is an HRL base in China. They begin destroying the base. The Tierans can't keep up, but that is when they are attacked. They think it is Exia again, but it is HRL in the new Jinx. The GNX 603T, GNX pronounced Jinx, is a product of Alejandro betraying Celestial Being by giving GN Tau drives to the UN. 30 of these machines are produced and distributed to 3 nations. Unlike the Gundam, which serves a unique role, the Jinx is versatile and able to adapt to general use. Unlike the Ptolemaios GN drives, these have limited GN particle generators and can't function as long as the original 3rd gen Gundams. Suck it, Mono Eye. This Gundam has 4 eyes. The United Nations told the world that they produced these new GN particles and would leave Alejandro's involvement out of it. It is equipped with a GN beam rifle, a GN beam saber, a GN shield, GN Vulcans, and the GN claw. This was originally a simple melee weapon, but with GN particles and an enhanced GN field, it makes this mobile suit a melee beast. Sergei, Soma, and his team are piloting the Jinx. They go in and attack and are able to keep up with the Thrones. Trinity retreats for now as they have done enough damage. The Ptolemaios team watch the action all go down. They realize that this changes everything. Gundams are now fighting Gundams. Everyone is technologically on par with one another. Alejandro and Ribbons makes it to a base on the moon. They enter a room to see a giant supercomputer. Alejandro realizes that this is Veda. Meanwhile, I wonder how Saji's doing. Someone slap him and put him into a mobile suit? He's a perfect candidate. Ribbons begins making changes to Veda. He tells Alejandro that it will take some time. Felt accesses Veda's files without being noticed and brings up visual data on the fight between Jinx and the Thrones. They confirm that these new Gundams are using GN Tau drives. The Trinity team hasn't received any new missions in some time. Ribbons accesses level 6 of Veda. Alejandro notes that Laguna distributed the new Gundams and serves no purpose anymore. Patrick Colasar meets with Daryl, who informs him that Graham will not be taking part in this operation. Daryl abandoned Graham, so he believes that he must provide results with this new Gundam or else he will feel great shame for his abandonment of the overflags. Felt and Chris are working overtime doing logistics. Sumeragi brings them alcohol. Tieria doesn't like being cut off from Veda, but Lock-On tells him to trust in Sumeragi's tactics. He mentions that she made a very big mistake in her past, and she is constantly trying to atone for that mistake now by drowning in alcohol. Tieria goes, "Wait, does that mean you know about my past?" Lock-On simply says that now is the time for the four of them to work together. They all go wait on standby in their pods. While waiting, Setsuna dreams he is back in Krugus, and Marina is there. The HRL Jinx team approaches the Trinity team's location, but Johan connects to the other Thrones and uses his high mega launcher to take out one of the Gundams. It appears that their orders weren't coming from Veda, but rather from Laguna, who seemed to have betrayed them. Of course, Laguna was taking orders from Alejandro, and he has already been taken out. The Thrones head out for an attack. Sumeragi spots mobile suits approaching their location. She expected this and is glad everyone is on standby. The Gundam Meisters launch. Saji meets with Kinoe's editor, who tells him that she was doing in-depth research on Aeolia Schoenberg. The Gundams begin their attack. Gundam Virtue uses his GN field, but their attacks can penetrate the shield. They are evenly matched. Daryl and Patrick try to take out Exia. Suddenly, the Gundam Meisters lose their connection to Veda. They are dead in the water. Alejandro says that he is greedy and wants both Celestial Being and the UN to exist. However, Celestial Being can be reborn. Sumeragi expected Veda to cut them off, which is why she scraped as much data as possible onto their systems. They connect the Gundams directly to the Ptolemaios systems. All backups come online, and the Gundams are able to move once again, all but Tieria. Setsuna goes into a rage. Lock-On tries to protect Gundam Virtue. Patrick goes in to strike Tieria, but Lock-On protects him, with his Gundam taking the brunt of the attack. Aw, he did a la-la for Tieria. An attack comes from afar. It happens to be last in the Gundam Arms. The GNR 001E and 001D GN Arms, both Type E and Type D, is a support vehicle that was built off the data of the GN Zephyr and the Avalanche Exia, which is from a side story. This support unit has the GN condenser. This holds excess GN particles and is essentially a GN fuel tank. This allows the unit to function independently from a Gundam, but it does not have its own GN drive. We will see this unit connect to Dynamis and Exia to give the unit extra armor and give the Gundam access to the Trans-Am system. The Type E can be controlled from Exia. It is equipped with a pair of claws, a large-sized GN cannon, a large GN sword, and a GN beam sword. The Jinx team retreats as the Meisters go to help Lock-On. Alejandro is impressed by Sumeragi's skills. Ribbons makes it to level 7 access of Veda. Meanwhile, all nations are impressed with the Jinx and begin mass production. The age of the Gundam is now over. Lassie in the GM Arms begins the docking sequence. He asks about Lock-On. It seems he is in critical condition. He will survive, but he lost his shooting eye. The doctor informs him that it will take 3 weeks to regenerate a new eye for him. But Lock-On doesn't want to go through the process and thinks he could get the job done with Hado. Billy and Graham are watching the news, where the public is being informed of the new Jinx mobile suit and a new operation called Fallen Angel. Graham wonders about his new flag. He is upgrading it with a GN Tau drive. The SVMS-01X Union Flag Custom 2 is a modified version of Graham's custom flag with the Jinx GN Tau drive added. Billy was able to convince his uncle, Homer Katagiri, to get him an extra GN drive. He He will play a bigger role in the second season. Adding the drive prevented the custom flag from transforming into mobile armor mode. It is equipped with a 20mm machine gun on the abdomen, a GN beam saber that they stole, a defense rod, and a GN field. Meanwhile, Sergei and Soma launch with their Jinx team. Felt is concerned for Lock-On and goes to see him, but he is meeting with Pink Cardigan Man. Tieria tells him that he lost connection to Veda due to his codependency issues with a server. Lock-On ensures him that they can complete the plan without Veda. Trinity is on the run, and they are almost out of food. Johan contacts Wang and asks for help getting them up into space, but she tells the Trinity team that they are out of time and people are heading to their location. HRL is able to spot them. The particle generation on the GN Tau drives of the Trinity team are at 30%. They have to play this conservatively. They are able to hold their own and soon retreat. Soma wants to follow, but Sergei reminds her that their drives will be dead soon and to be patient. Ribbons has cleared level 6 of Veda and has made it to the final level. On the Ptolemy, Setsuna wants to go down and save the Trinity team. Lass and Setsuna will go down. Even though they may not be able to make it back into space if anything goes wrong, Setsuna wants to do this to find the true meaning of the Gundam. Sumeragi gives them a mission plan and tells them to return safely. Nina is mad that her throne dryer was damaged. That is when an AEU enact lands. It is Alial Sichez. They want to know if Laguna Harvey sent them. He tells them that Laguna is dead, and with no hesitation, he shoots and kills Mikhail. He shoots Johan as well, but allows him and Nina to escape. Ali gets in Mikhail's Thrones Y and chases the two. If he is able to bypass the biometrics of the thrones, that means he is getting assistance from Veda. Ali tears through Throne Eins, killing Johan. He begins his chase for Nina, but Setsuna attacks. He realizes that Ali is the pilot of the Throne Gundam. Now that Ali is on a level playing field, he has the upper hand against Setsuna. It isn't looking good for the Gundam. Ribbons completes level 7 and out pops a cryo chamber. It is the body of Aeolia Schoenberg. Alejandro begins shooting at it and laughing. He kills Aeolia's body, but this triggers another message by Schoenberg. Of course, he expected that humanity would still try to find a way to move towards war, even after he was long gone. Ribbons realizes it was a trap all along. By killing his body, they activated a failsafe. The failsafe is the Trans-Am system, which activates on Gundam Exia. The Trans-Am system gives access to the full ability of the original Gundam GN drives. It allows the drive to fully release all of the compressed GN particles accumulated and operate at a higher output, essentially overclocking the Gundam. This allows Exia to move at fast speeds, leaving a red afterimage. Setsuna has no idea what is going on, but another message from Schoenberg plays in the cockpit. This message plays to the Ptolemaios crew as well. Schoenberg tells them about the Trans-Am system. Exia is able to tear through the Throne Gundam, but Ali makes his escape. Setsuna contacts the Ptolemy and informs them that Ali stole one of the Throne Gundams and killed Mikhail. He is heading back to the ship. Sumeragi knows the next battle will play out at the L1 point. At Lagrange 1, Virginia-class ships gather. The Virginia-class ship is originally created by the Union, but is supplied to the UN during the joint venture. This ship is the biggest built of its time. It is equipped with linear rail cannons, missile launchers, and has a maximum capacity of 12 mobile suits for operation. Ali is on board under his AEU identity Gary badge. He meets with Sergei, who wants to know how he captured the Gundam. He says that it is a business secret. While heading back to the ship, Lass tells Setsuna that he believes that celestial being is meant to exist more as a symbol. Like Batman, he gets a message that the Ptolemaios has contacted UN fleets. Lock-On preps for the battle, but he is locked into his room. Tieria did this. In his own way, he is trying to protect Lock-On. Tieria and Allelujah launch. They note that Ali is fighting with the UN. Kyrios is equipped with the tail booster. This is a module which drastically improves the mobility. An extra GN cannon is also added. Allelujah is able to dodge the Jinx's attack. Ali sneaks behind Tieria and the two begin fighting. The Throne Gundam uses its fangs to penetrate the GN field. Multiple Jinx begin blasting Virtue. Soma rushes in and damages Allelujah's tail booster. He is able to sense her like before. Sergei comes in and the two double-team Kyrios. That is when he activates the Trans-Am system. Hallelujah decides to help Allelujah. He tells himself that he will block Soma's brainwaves. The psychopath in his head is doing something useful. As Virtue takes a beating, Tieria too is able to activate the Transam. It allows his Gian bazooka to output an even bigger blast on the level of a battleship cannon. That is when Lock-On approaches in Dynami's Gian Armor Type D. The Gian 002 GNR 001D Gian Armor Type D is the product of combining the Gian Arms Type D and Dynamis. When added, the Gian long-range shooting capabilities are boosted by the Gian Arms Gian Twin Rifle and the large-size missile container, both meant for anti-fleet combat. Claw arms are added for ranged combat, and a large-sized Gian cannon for long-range bombardments. The Gian field is greatly enhanced as well. He begins a long-range bombardment on the Jinx squad. With the Transam system, they were able to force the team to retreat, but Lock-On is still heading towards the enemy fleet on his own. He begins attacking when the Throne's Y attacks him. Remember, Lock-On now knows that Ali was the leader of the terrorists who killed his parents. He forgave Setsuna, who physically murdered them, but he doesn't forgive Ali for bringing innocent people into war. Ali realizes that he can't see well on his right side. He uses the fangs to surround and attack Dynamis. His Gundam is dead in the water. Lock-On gets out of the mobile suit and tells Hato to take Dynamis back to the ship. He first detaches the sniper rifle as well as the control unit in the cockpit. He is going to fire this sucker manually. Hidden in the asteroids, Throne's Y spots Lock-On. He fires on the Throne Gundam and nicks it, but Ali shoots the sniper, throwing Lock-On out into space. Setsuna makes his way to their location, but the sniper rifle explodes, taking Lock-On with it. Dynamis returns to the ship. Hato makes everyone sad by repeating the same words over and over. Everyone knows Lock-On is dead. Tieria cries about Lock-On and takes his anger out on Setsuna, but Sumeragi comes in and slaps Tieria for fighting with his team. Felt cries over Lock-On while holding Hato. With the human fleet, Sergei learns that they started their mission with 27 Jinx mobile suits and now only have 11. They lost 16 during this battle, but that also tells us that they lost 3 during their first battle with Celestial Being. Katie Mannequin tells him that the UN are sending reinforcements. They wonder if they're sending out more Gian drives. Patrick makes his way back to the ship after the battle. As they hide out in the asteroid field, the Ptolemaios team plans their next move. They get data from Dynamis that shows that it was Ali who killed Lock-On. Setsuna wonders if he did this all for vengeance, but then he remembers Lock-On and even Las saying that one must live with a purpose to carry out the will of the dead. The UN fleet approaches a new golden mobile armor. This is the Alvatori piloted by Alejandro. The GNMA XCVII Alvatori, or 98 Alvatori if it is Roman numerals, was developed by Alejandro with the help of the Innovators, which we will see soon. It was originally developed off of the One Gundam, and its specialty is hyper-focused power. This is because of the 7 Gian Tau drives on its back. It is equipped with a powerful Gian beam cannon, 22 side beam cannons, 6 large Gian fangs, a combat arm, and even more beam cannons. This will go on to inspire large-use mobile armors that we will see in Season 2. While prepping for the next battle, the Ptolemaios bridge crew finally tell each other their real names and history. They get to know the real them before their potential death. Felt leaves a letter in Lock-On's cockpit. They decide to leave Hato in the hands of whomever becomes the next celestial being. That is when they detect ships approaching. The Jinx squad approaches with Alejandro. The Alvatori fires its beam cannon and hits the port side of the ship. Allelujah takes over for Allelujah and begins attacking Soma. Alejandro hits the Ptolemy once again, this time taking out the medbay in the process. Bye, random celestial being doctor. You served your one purpose, then died. The ship is unable to generate a Gian field. Tieria activates the Transam system, but they learned last time that it is a power drainer, so they have to be careful. Even with the Transam, he is getting destroyed. Patrick Colasar goes to attack Tieria, and they both shoot at each other. The Jinx body is destroyed, while Natalie's head is hit. Sumeragi and Ian Vashti head out in the assault container. This is a tactical transport box that can murder you. It has a Gian condenser and a Gian field for defense. Weapons include a Gian large beam cannon, beam guns, and 8 Gian missile launchers. They are the last line of defense for the Ptolemaios, but they aren't fast enough. One Jinx shoots the bridge. Lichty goes to protect Christina as the bridge explodes. He protects Chris from the blast to reveal that he is more cyborg than human. He was almost killed during the Solar Power Wars and brought back to life. His only role during this series was having feelings for Chris. In his final moments, she reciprocates his feelings. Sumeragi contacts Chris, but we find out that she too is badly injured. The Ptolemaios explodes, killing Lichty and Chris. Las and Setsuna are in an assault container. He and Alejandro touch Gean fields together. Hot. He ejects Exia and himself in the Gean arms. Sumeragi, Felt, and Ian make it back to the damaged Ptolemaios to find the Gundam Meisters are struggling. Allelujah gives Allelujah a pep talk. He pulls his hair back and attacks Soma. Setsuna docks with the Gean arms to form the Gean armor Type E. The Gean 001, GNR 001E, Gean armor Type E is the combined power of the Gean arms Type E and Exia. With the Gean armor Type E, the Exia's close combat capabilities are boosted by the Gean arms. Large-sized Gean swords, Gean beam guns as well as claws, and the support machine's large-sized Gean cannons are also available for ranged bombardments. The whole Gean armor Type E can be controlled from Exia, but its controls can also be shared with the Gean arms. This shared controlled scheme reduces the burden of the Gundam Meister, who can better focus on the battle at hand. The two engage in battle. 3 since Lass is in the Gean arms, I guess. They hold their own, but Alejandro does a great deal of damage to the Gean arms, injuring Lass. He uses his Gundam Rage to tear through the mobile armor. The Alvatore explodes. Sergei and Soma aren't enough to take down Allelujah. He activates the Trans-Am system. Sergei tries to lala himself for Soma, but the super soldier is able to stop Kyrios and shoot him in the eye. As Soma helps Sergei, Allelujah realizes it is a girl named Mari. Out of the rubble comes Alejandro in the Alvaron. The GNMS XCVII Alvaron, or 97 Alvaron if it's Roman numerals, is a mobile suit built into the Alvatore, and like the mobile armor, it is based off of the One Gundam. This mobile suit took the data from all 3 of the Throne Gundams as well. Alvaron serves as a short to medium range unit with excellent mobility. The Alvatore and Alvaron can function independently, but both can be controlled within the Alvaron cockpit. Weapons include the GM beam rifle, the GM beam saber, and a 90-degree rotatable beam cannon. It also has one of the best GN fields we have seen thus far. Exia realizes that Alejandro is the one who has been twisting Schoenberg's words. Now that his plan is ruined, he is going for a scorched earth kind of ending. The Alvaron fires its beam cannon at Setsuna. He uses the Trans-Am system to dodge. Setsuna thinks back to a conversation with Lock-On, who tells him why Exia has a physical blade weapon. It is because it could penetrate the GN fields. Lock-On says that he is the trump card. He uses his sword on Alvaron and tears through the cockpit. As Alejandro bleeds out, Ribbons calls him and pulls the most obvious fast one on him. The Alvaron explodes. Setsuna is exhausted, but a flag with a GN drive rushes in. It is Graham. The two begin fighting with beam sabers. He realizes that Graham is the guy he met in Krugus that one time. Graham says that he isn't doing this for the world. He is fighting him for his own selfish reasons. They attack with the beam sabers, and both mobile suits go up in flames. Allelujah is in control again. He knows that Allelujah knew about Mari this whole time. Setsuna leaves a letter with Marina. He was looking for a path out through her, but he knows that his path is different. Exia drifts off. AD 2312. Saji writes a letter to Louise, who no longer responds to him. He has achieved his dream of going into space and is working for the Solar Tower. While on a spacewalk, we see the green glow of the Gundam. Celestial being hasn't been seen for years. 328 countries agreed to merge to form the Earth Sphere Federation. All militaries will be dissolved into one Federation peacekeeping army. The world seems to be united for now. We see a fleet of the new Jinx 3. More on that next season. On the moon, Ribbons assembles a team of innovators. Ian Vashti is meeting with Wang and Hong Long. Ian shows the two the new O Gundam. They want to use Exia's GN drive in the old Gundam. They look over to a container labeled Gundam 00. 2 Titan space types and an Enact orbit package fights against and ahead. The AEU 090P AEU Enact Orbit Package is a space use configuration for the Enact. Many military members who abandoned their post took their Enacts with them when they went to Catherine. Although helpful, these struggle to uphold their own against Jinx mobile suits. It is equipped with a defense rod, a linear rifle, a sonic blade, and 2 rocket launchers. The Jinx 704T ahead is one of the 2 mobile suits utilized by ELS, the other being the Jinx. This unit is used mainly as commander units. You could tell by the design that this is HRL's attempt at making their mobile suit variant with the Jian Tao drive and takes battle data from the Tieten Taotsu and the Tieten Kitu. This unit is also a testbed for other variants, one of which will be used by Mr. Bushido. The ahead data will also eventually be integrated into the Jinx 4. This utilizes the automation container. This is a container loaded with 12 automatons. The ahead's pilot can monitor the status of each automaton through the mobile suit's computer. It is also equipped with a GN beam rifle. The long barrel and condenser can be removed to turn it into a GN submachine gun. It also has a GN beam saber, a GN shield, 30mm GN Vulcans, missile launchers, and a GN hand grenade. Another interesting weapon is the NGN bazooka. This is a non-GN particle-based weapon used mainly for particle disruption, but its cartridge-based system can be replaced with various shell weapons. 2 Jinx 3s head into an asteroid and place bombs. The GNX 609T Jinx 3 is the upgraded version of the Jinx 2. The Jinx 2 was highly configurable and repairable, so you could assume that many of the Jinx 2 were retrofitted into Jinx 3s. The GN particle generator has been slightly miniaturized. This generator solves the toxic effect that the GN Tau dry particles have on humans. Because of this, the color of the GN particles are now an orangish red instead of the brick red of the old drives. It has a heat source blocking cloak, which conceals their heat source, obviously. The Foreste team could have really used this. It is also equipped with the GN Lance, a GN Beam Saber, a GN Claw, GN Vulcans, the Proto GN Lance, and much more. The head takes out the Enact and the Tietens. They are able to detonate the charges, destroying an asteroid. The Jinx team retreats. Klausgrad gets word that the asteroid has fallen. During the Civil Wars, post-Earth Sphere Federation, Fawn helped anti-UN organizations fight against UN forces. He was ultimately using them, but in this process, they met Klaus. Whatever remains of that original anti-UN organization is now known as Catherine, and is the prominent force fighting against the UN currently. Klaus and Shiden working towards what they are calling the Proud Operation. Shiden was Marina's right-hand person until she left at the end of Season 1. Now she too fights for Catherine. Remember, during Season 1, Shiden was constantly objecting to Marina working with the UN, and ultimately, she was right. Things got worse in Azadistan, while the UN once again abandoned their nation. Marina, in many ways, is the anti-Relina. She desperately desires peace like Relina, but in this case, the sad, depressing realities of geopolitics said you could go fuck your peace. Soma and Sergei seem to be out of the military, but many people are trying to pull them back by joining ELS. ELS is a peacekeeping group designed to unify the nations, but in reality, they oppress the people and strong-arm weaker nations into complying with ESF. We got ourselves a Titans in this universe. Meanwhile, on the colony Proud, Saji has finally achieved his dreams of working in space. He is talking to one of his coworkers, Eddie, when 2 men come in and arrest him on suspicion of working with Catherine. Saji wonders what is going on. Saji looks at the guy. Oh, you shouldn't have done that. The officer arrests Saji as well. Why not? Tieria is talking to Ian Vashti and his daughter Melina, who is now a member of Ptolemaios 2. The CBS-74 Ptolemaios 2 relies on GN particles, but doesn't have its own GN drive. It relies on the Gundam's GN drives to recharge the ship when docked. Like the original Ptolemy, this has the rotatable docking ring for each mobile suit and MS container. The ship relies on speed and stealth mainly, but it does have a GN field. Its only other defenses are the Gundams themselves. Tieria wants to head out in his new Gundam. Meanwhile at Proud, Saji gets the Hermes Conrad treatment. Also heading towards Proud is a Baiko-class ship. We broke down this ship during our coverage of OOF, so go check that out. Launching is Barak Zenin and a familiar ensign and their ahead team. They launch in Jinx 3 and aheads. Meanwhile, a Gundam sneaks onto Proud. Setsuna begins making moves on the colony, while Catherine attacks from the outside. Hey, you guys over at Proud need any mobile suit defenses? Actually, we have these 8 turrets where if you look at it from afar, it looks like the 8 Noble Truths in Buddhism. It represents peace or some shit, I don't know. You guys sure you don't want to defend the colony with mobile suits instead of metaphors? Nah, we're good, man. A Virginia-class ship crashes into one of the docks. Once they are in Wi-Fi range, Catherine begins hacking their systems. They stop their stupid metaphor from spinning, which messes with the gravity. The Jinxes come in and fight Catherine. The familiar Jinx pilot happens to be Louise. Zenin, in the ahead, destroys the Virginia-class ship that was hacking and drops an automation container. Tachikoma.
僕らはみんな生きている
The automatons begin taking out the people inside of Proud. Saji hides from the automatons. He almost dies before he is saved by Setsuna F. Sei. They don't have time to catch up with one another as another automaton shoots at them. He throws a grenade and the two make a run for it. Setsuna realizes that nothing has changed. He calls for his Gundam. The two make a run for the docks where they run into Gundam Exia Repair. The GN001 RE Gundam Exia Repair is a poorly repaired version of Exia. After the final battle 4 years ago, Exia was heavily damaged. Setsuna was able to reattach the head and added a Tierin mono eye sensor to replace his Gundam's broken sensors. It wears a cloak to hide the fact that it is missing one arm. It is unknown if it could use the Transcend system in its broken state, but I'm gonna go with no. It only uses the Geon Vulcans and the Geon Sword. He heads into battle with the ELS. Saji can't believe that Setsuna is the Gundam pilot. Neither can Louise, who is also on the battlefield, as the Gundam makes its presence for the first time in years. The presence of the Gundam causes her to panic. Remember, she was attacked by the Trinity team and lost her hand 4 years ago. Much of her hate was channeled into the Gundams. The Ahead takes on Setsuna while Louise is not contributing to the battle. As Setsuna's unit is 4 years old, Zanin is very confident. He is able to take out Exia's arm. He goes for another attack when a beam blast comes barreling in. It happens to be Tieria in Cerevi Gundam. The GN008 Cerevi Gundam is the first of Celestial Being's new Gundams and is the successor to Virtue Gundam. It is very much like Virtue in that it is a chunky boy designed to act as its own platoon. It has a GN field and a new face burst mode. This is a Gundam's face on its back, which outputs more GN particles, but also controls the particles to a certain extent. On top of that, the Transam system provides Cerevi 3 times more output, making this an even greater beast. However, it is also a gas guzzler and can't be on the battlefield for too long. It is equipped with the GN Bazooka, which has different configurations. The Twin Buster Cannon is combining the bazooka and the GN Cannon. The Double Cannon utilizes a burst mode and creates a giant fireball. The Hyper Burst mode is combining the bazooka with 4 GN cannons and creates the biggest output this unit can create. It also has a GN Beam Saber. The Jinx goes in to attack with its Beam Saber, but Cerevi has a GN field as well. Tieria says, "Bitch, I have a Gundam face on my back, boo!" He takes out the Jinxes. Zanin notices Louise is still catatonic. He decides to grab her and retreat. Setsuna realizes that it is Tieria in this new Gundam. The Ptolemaios team gets word that Tieria has found Setsuna. The crew is relieved. Lassie will be happy to be reunited with Setsuna once again. On board currently is Felt Grace, the Vashtis, and Lassie, but more will join. Klaus gets word that Proud is safe. He's very confident that Celestial Being will share in Catherine's ideals. The two Meisters head back to Proud, where Saji takes out 4 years of pent-up emotional anger on Setsuna. He blames his sister's death and the loss of Louise on him and the Gundam pilots. He grabs and points a gun at him, demanding his loved one's back. Look at him shiver, he's not gonna do anything. Back on the Bikel class, Louise is getting the shakes and she needs her fix. At the end of Season 1, we saw that Regine brought back Louise to meet with the Innovators and is connected with Ribbons Almark. Ribbons happens to be meeting with Wang. Sumeragi is on Earth with Billy, drowning in alcohol and depression when she hears of the return of the Gundam on the news. Another person who is excited that the Gundam Meisters made their appearance once again is Graham Acker, now going by the name Mr. Bushido. An American samurai. He's Tom Cruising it up in here. The return of the Gundams have pushed ALAWs harder to recruit Soma. They resort to sending a son, Andrei Smirnov, a newly appointed ALAWs member, to try to recruit Soma. In an undisclosed location, Allelujah, or Hallelujah, one of the Luyas is tied up and has been a prisoner for the past 4 years. Tieria, Setsuna, and Saji head to the Ptolemaios too, but Setsuna instantly heads to Earth. He meets with Lyle Delandi, twin brother of Neil Delandi. He is currently a member of Catherine. Setsuna says, "Pack your bags, bitch. You're the new lock-on." A few months in the past, Tieria is in Gundam 00. They're trying to achieve synchronization across 2 GN drives using what is called the twin drive system. However, it has failed once again. The only other option is to try Exia's GN drive. In the present, Setsuna informs Lyle that his brother died 4 years ago. He gives him a USB drive with all the intel he needs. He wonders what is stopping him from going to the authorities. He tells him that Catherine should probably be focusing on their bases, which are about to be inspected and attacked. Kitty Mannequin has decided to join ALAWs, as her command skills 4 years ago was impressive, Katie runs into Soma, who also took ELS up on their offer. Tom Cruise notes that Commander Katagiri is on a recruitment rampage. Homer Katagiri is commander of the ELS and uncle to Billy Katagiri. In our coverage of OOF, Ian confirmed that the research on the twin drive system was also released as a failsafe at the same time as the Transam system. However, the data given is 200 years old and theoretical, so they are struggling to turn it into something practical. The twin drive system syncs two drives into one and functions in a similar manner to your multi-threaded processor in your computer. Marina comes to check on Saji. He wonders why they returned, and they tell him that they intend to put a stop to ELS. They leave him with Red Hato. Red Hato only stabbed one person, so you should be fine. Sumeragi gets drunk when Setsuna lands on her doorstep. In front of Billy, he says her codename and labels her as a member of Celestial Being. I know you probably lied to this man 4 years ago, and I just blew his mind with this information, but we gotta go. Lyle confirms that one of Catherine's bases was indeed raided. He thinks if he should become Celestial Being. Saji connects his laptop to Red Hato and does some digging. He learns that the Throne Gundams weren't a part of the original plan. He learns that the Tau drives have cellular degenerative effects, which is why Louise's hand would grow back. Watch out, he's gonna stab you! Setsuna and Sumeragi meet with the new lock-on, and they all head into space. Meanwhile, in Azadistan, ESF police arrest Marina. Last season, we learned that Wang loves the chaos. It seems she is doubling down on creating chaos and is losing the narrative of trying to achieve peace. She gave vital Celestial Being info to Ribbons. Zanin and the Ahead team launches and heads towards the Ptolemaios. Setsuna, Sumeragi, and Lock-on won't make it back to the ship before the attack. Sumeragi sends a coded message back to the ship. Even though this is the Ptolemaios 2, the system is still the scraped local backup of Veda with all of her tactical plans. Sumeragi reminds us all that we need to build a home lab and stop relying on cloud-based services for everything. Tieria launches and the Ptolemaios sends out mines that scramble the Jinx's system. This will slow them down and buy them some time. Tieria begins fighting with the ELS. Setsuna has no time to dock. He bails out of the shuttle and uses a jetpack to get to 00. Tieria isn't going to last long and needs help. Setsuna gets in the Gundam and activates the Transam system. Ian is skeptical about using the Transam system to jumpstart the twin drive system. Setsuna thinks back to when he saw O Gundam as a child. The other GN drive in 00 is O Gundam's original drive. He feels a sense of pride? Joy? I don't know. He's a Gundam. I can't get a read on this guy. It works. The drives synchronize, and he activates 00 Gundam. The GN Quadruple Zero 00 Gundam was built off of the data from Exia and designed for Setsuna, even though his whereabouts were unknown when they began development. The star of this show is, of course, the twin drive system, which syncs two GN drives. We will learn that the Transam system overloads the mobile suit and isn't utilized until the Gundam gets the 00 Riser upgrade. Its antennas are redesigned to help control the massive GN particle output. Many GN condensers are placed throughout the body to store all of the excess GN particles for later use. It also doesn't have a typical GN field. It just outputs so much GN particles that it can nullify beam attacks. Weapons include a GN beam saber and a GN shield. Setsuna begins destroying some of the Jinxes, causing the rest to retreat. Gundam 00 was not a part of Veda's plan, as this isn't in Veda's files, but it was a part of Aeolia's plan. Ribbons realizes that Aeolia Schoenberg is still far ahead of him. Back on the ship, everyone is surprised to see Lock-on, thinking that it is Neil. Marina is being interrogated. After Season 1, Marina was questioned for working with Alejandro, thinking he was just a member of the UN. Now that the Gundams have made their return, she has become an important person to the Earth Sphere Federation. The man who gave the speech at the end of Season 1 telling the world that the UN has become the Earth Sphere Federation happens to be talking to Ribbons Almark. ESF currently has 40 million soldiers and is growing. This was all thanks to Veda and Ribbons. He believes that he is still working towards Aeolia Schoenberg's original ideals. Ribbons believes that questioning Marina will cause the Meisters to make their appearance. They also know they are going to go after Allelujah. Also, I'm referring to the Innovators as they/them from now on, because they are totally androgynous, non-binary entities that only move the plot forward. Allelujah wakes up to see Soma and the Outlaws. This causes him to react. He has been held up for the past 4 years. He still refers to Soma as Mari. Soma denies the name. Lyle tells Tieria that he doesn't have any mobile suit experience. But don't worry, he won't slow down the plot. It will be like Neil never left. Neil having a twin is straight out of a 70s TV drama, and they take it so seriously. I love it. Sumeragi is in her room, hydrating. She isn't sure if she wants to rejoin Celestial Being. Setsuna gets Saji caught up on the differences between them and the Throne Gundams. Regardless, he still blames Celestial Being for uprooting his life. Setsuna says, "My bad, I didn't know it was all about peace for you." "Oh no, Saji's upset, let's stop fighting." Setsuna says this stone face, but this is the closest we ever get to him being sarcastic. Soma calls Sergei to ask if there is any files regarding the name Mari, but he says he knows nothing. A Guyana-class ship comes in to pick up Soma. The Guyana-class ship is an ELS assault carrier. This is a large ship that can fly under Earth's gravity. The wings can be folded in and it can act and operate as a command center. Its main weapons are the 10-meter laser cannons mounted on rotating turrets. Other weapons include Geon missiles. The commander is Kitty Madigan. Sergei will also take command of one of these ships to hunt down Catherine. Nina Trinity is scouting out the base where Allelujah is for Wang. Nina is piloting the Liang. The GNW 003 SH Liang is a small transport craft used by Nina. After she lost her brothers, Wang made this to conceal her Gundam throne dry. It makes it great for stealth and intelligence gathering. It can fly in Earth's atmosphere and is equipped with its own Geon Tau drive. The only weapon is the Geon Long Rifle, which isn't great for long-term combat, but it can attach to the throne dry's handgun. Wang sends a message to Celestial Being. She informs them of the location of Allelujah. We learn that the A-Laws are using Allelujah as bait to lure out the Gundams. Setsuna gives Sumeragi a pep talk as she still doesn't want to assume her role as tactical forecaster. That is also one thing to note, is that Sumeragi isn't the commander. She just creates the missions. However, they do treat her like a commander because of her leadership qualities. Wang gives Celestial Being all the intel on this secret prison and all the prisoners. Felt notices that Marina is also a prisoner. Sumeragi sends the mission plan to the team. 00, Saravi, and Sheridan launch. The Geon 006 Sheridan Gundam is the successor to Dynami's Gundam, and is also a long-range mobile suit. All its long-range features have been enhanced. This unit can also use the sniper scope from the cockpit and has Hato assisting. The Geon Sniper Rifle 2 is closer to the look of a real gun, and its accuracy is enhanced due to its crystalline sensor on its forehead. This becomes even more powerful when the Transam system is activated. The rifle also has a triple Vulcan mode for medium and close range combat. The Geon Shield Bits is another upgrade, which is wirelessly remote controlled weapons similar to the Geon Fang. Sheridan has 9 bits and are used more for defensive purposes, but they each are equipped with a beam gun. Other weapons include the Geon Pistol 2 and Geon Missile Pods. Setsuna is informed that Marina is one of the prisoners. At the prison, Colonel Mannequin is informed of a ship approaching their location. She informs Soma and the other pilots to launch. The Ptolemaios 2 doesn't slow down as it makes it into Earth's atmosphere. It dives directly down into the water, causing a tidal wave at the A-Laws prison. This blitzkrieg happens so fast that Soma will never make it to her mobile suit. The Gundams head toward the base. Tierans try to fend off the Gundams. Setsuna busts in and looks for Allelujah. Hato tells Lock-On to say targeted and firing, just like his brother. He begins picking off some Jinx 3s that are on the battlefield. Saravi protects 00 while it is unoccupied. Soma is running to her mobile suit when suddenly Catherine rebels come in to help release the prisoners. Setsuna finds and releases Allelujah. He gives him a data pad with intel on where his mobile suit is located. He says, "Okay, bye," and heads out, barely saying anything. Allelujah heads to the location where he finds his new Gundam. But that is when Soma holds him at gunpoint. Setsuna finds and rescues Marina. Allelujah continues calling Soma Mari. She remembers moments from her past and begins panicking. This is when Allelujah jumps into Arios Gundam. The Geon 007 Arios Gundam is the successor to Kyrios Gundam and can change into flight form just like the old version. However, this flight form can handle melee combat situations. This unit focuses on speed instead of attack power. It could go even faster when the Transam system is activated. Also, since there is no longer a need to let people know that a mobile suit is a Gundam, the Gundam face is now stored in Arios' flight form to reduce air resistance. Unlike other mobile suits, the Geon drive is located around the pelvis to accommodate for its flight mode. A pair of Geon verniers are mounted on the outer side of the thighs to serve as an ambac system of sorts. Weapons include the Geon twin beam rifle, a Geon submachine gun, a Geon beam shield, Geon Vulcans, and 2 Geon beam sabers. Arios is too fast for the Jinx pilots. As the Gundams make their escape, Colonel Mannequin focuses on helping the base. Catherine was able to release many prisoners as well. Shiden is informed by Klaus that Marina was a prisoner and taken by Setsuna. She remembers the pilot that brought back Rashmati to the Azadistan palace. Allelujah meets new Lock-On after thinking it was Neil. Everyone is excited to have him back. Marina wonders why Setsuna is fighting again. It is the only thing he knows how to do. A young Allelujah can hear a voice. He heads into the lab to see see Soma/Mari, who talks to him via brainwaves. She can't see him. This is the first time the two meet one another. Scientists watch the two's interaction. She is the one to give Allelujah his name. She says you use it when you give thanks to God. She is thankful for being alive. Marina wants to return to Azadistan, but the Federation may intervene on her lands once again. They are not a part of the Earthsphere Federation and have been abandoned. She has also reached a stalemate with the Reformants since the death of Rashmati. They decide to take her back to her nation. Melina wonders if the two are lovers.
違います
Hot. Sumeragi still isn't wearing her uniform. It takes her a while to get over her hangovers. Give it time. Felt runs into Lock-On. Hato blurts out that she used to like Lock-On. He decides to kiss her, but Felt slaps him. He was being sleazy on purpose to make sure Felt never compares him to his brother again. Oh boy, it took a few rocky days, but finally, Sumeragi is sober.
いっぱい付き合ってもらえませんか
Damn it, Allelujah. Stop being a bad influence. Ayla's second in command, Goodman, is chewing out Mannequin for failing the mission. He decides to put Aberrant in charge of the next operation. If you followed our coverage of OOF, Major Rent, who was a captain at the time, was the commander of a Baikel-class ship that had a run-in with Fawn Spark. Mannequin says that Rent has a notorious reputation. Goodman gives Rent permission to launch the Trilobite. He also wants Tom Cruise to help him on this mission as well. Mannequin reviews her failed mission. She says that she's seen this Blitzkrieg-type attack before. ALAS launched the Trilobite. The GN MA-04B11 Trilobite was one of the first mobile armors built by ALAS that uses the assistance from the private sector and the Union. We will learn of the secret financial contributor of this soon. This aquatic suit has 3 GN Tau drives and can surpass the original GN drive Gundams. The Trilobite can switch between cruising form and battle form. The mobile armor is not equipped with any beam weapons, as beam weapons are useless underwater. The transforming technology in this mobile armor comes from the transforming mechanism and the Union flag. Weapons include 2 claw arms, 6 GN torpedoes per arm, 24 large GN torpedoes, chemical jelly bombs, anti-ship missiles, and a chain-shaped bomb. Soma wonders who the special contributor to this mobile armor is. Fun fact, anytime someone in a story wonders who someone is, the filmmaker usually always cuts to who that person is. In this case, Louise. Catherine is going to do everything to help Celestial Being. Klaus wants to ensure Marina's safety. Shiden wants to join on this next mission. Marina tries to convince Setsuna to return to Azadistan with her, but he once again says no, I do the fighting. Saji helps Ian with work as they are short-handed. He tells him that everyone here has lost something precious because of war. Allelujah tells Sumeragi of Soma and his past relationship with her. He wants to get her back, even though she is the enemy. Sumeragi somehow finds a way to make the conversation about herself. 6 enemies close in on the Ptolemaios. The Trilobite fires chemical jelly bombs on the ship. This slows the Ptolemy in its tracks. This bomb has a chemical reaction to salt water, which turns the area into jelly and traps its enemies. More torpedoes fire. It is able to break through the GN field and damage the Ptolemy. The charges stop, and the Trilobite goes into attack. This allows the Gundams to launch. Tyria activates the Transam system and fights the Trilobite. 00 goes in and attacks the mobile armor with his GN sword and destroys the Trilobite. They head to the surface to attack Lint's Baron-class ship. That is when Tom Cruise defends the ship and his custom ahead. The GNX 704T AC Ahead Sakigake is built off of Graham's Union Flag Custom 2 and the Ahead. The Aheads are general purpose, but custom variants like this were designed specifically to go up against the Gundams. Another name for this unit is the Ahead Close Combat type. To avoid interfering with the arms when the sabers are in use, the pair of main thrusters on the Sakigake's back are mounted vertically instead of horizontally, like the normal Aheads. The horns are designed to help control GN particles of its high-output GN Tau drive. Weapons include a GN Beam Saber, a GN Short Beam Saber, a GN Short Beam Cannon, a GN Shield, and 30mm GN Vulcans. It also has an energy cable to charge things. Tom Cruise is certain that this is the Gundam pilot he fought 4 years ago. Arios launches and fights Soma in her Ahead Smoltron. The GNX 704T SP Ahead Smoltron, also known as the Ahead Quantum Brainwave type, is designed specifically for super soldiers. It allows quantum brainwaves to partially control the suit. This is similar to a Psychomu system in Universal Century. We will learn that Louise can also pilot this suit due to the medication she takes. This is a high mobility variant as well. It has a large GN Tau drive, and the backpack can rotate around it to accommodate its size. Much of the data from Soma's Tieten Tautsu is used to build this Ahead. Weapons include a GN beam rifle, a GN submachine gun, a GN beam saber, a GN shield, and 30mm GN Vulcans. As they all fight, Catherine comes in and helps Celestial Being in their attacks. Aberrant wasn't expecting this, and they decide to fall back. Setsuna meets with Catherine. Marina realizes that Shiden is fighting against ESF. Meanwhile, after feeling betrayed by Sumeragi, Billy joins the ALAS and helps his uncle Homer. On the Ptolemaios, Sumeragi finally puts on her uniform.
At a press conference, some press secretary for the Earth Sphere Federation fields questions to reporters concerned about the return of celestial beings. They will strengthen their A-laws as a solution. Regine wonders if causing the A-laws to grow is a part of Veda's plan. Revived Revival approaches the two. Revived Revival? I can't take these names. He wants to roll out a new mobile suit, but Ribbons hired Ali to help instead. In the desert, Setsuna, Tieria, Sumeragi, Saji, and Marina are heading to a Catherine base on a shuttle. Since Season 1, not only has the UN abandoned them, but they shoved a giant middle finger up their buttholes by installing these GN particle disruptors throughout the Middle East. Remember, GN particles, like Minovsky particles, disrupt modern communication signals. One side effect of this disruption is that it gives Catherine a nice cover to hide behind, as the Federation can't lock onto their communications. Celestial Being wants Catherine to look after Saji, as he is just a civilian that got caught up in all of this. He doesn't want to leave Celestial Being, but they think this is for the best. Children walk in, and this gives Setsuna PTSD. He asks if these children are being raised as Catherine soldiers, but they are merely fostered children. Sumeragi tells them that they don't make ideological decisions, and up until recently, their attacks were all dictated by an algorithm, but their fight is with the A-laws, and not the Federation. He says, well, since their causes line up so well, can we just assist you with your missions? Goodman chastises Lint for his failure on the last mission. This time he will place both Katie and Lint in charge. This is getting comical. Katie wants Tom Cruise to help on the next mission, but he says that he is a one-man army. Meanwhile, Sergei tells Soma that he wasn't there for his son, Andre, when he was younger, and he hates him. Soma takes Sergei up on his offer to let him adopt her. Setsuna watches as Marina plays with the kids. Saji says that those kids are products of Celestial Being's destruction and wonders if he feels something. Robot Setsuna says, yes, I feel something. I am Gundam. Nailed it. Not robotic at all, Setsuna. Marina wants to ask Setsuna a question. She needs to return to Azadistan. As she is already in a lot of heat, Setsuna can't just use his Gundam and take her home. That would stir up trouble for Marina, so they take a shuttle while Sumeragi handles transportation of 00. Saji doesn't trust Celestial Being or Catherine. He sees both parties as those who cause pain. He decides to take off on his own, but is shortly captured by a Federation airship. They interrogate him. This happens to be Sergei's ship. Sergei can tell that he isn't a fighter and isn't with Catherine. He also knows that he was on the Colony Proud up until a few weeks ago when the Celestial Beings attacked. Sergei wants to hear the truth. He spills the beans. Meanwhile, Homer and the A-Laws have found Catherine's base. Kitty has been ordered to use automatons in kill mode. She is horrified by this, but Lint is like, oh well, orders are orders. Soma is starting to realize why Sergei didn't want to join the A-Laws. Andre admits to her that his anger towards his father is because he let his mother die. One of Sergei's men informs A-Laws of Saji. He punches his underling and tells Saji to get out of here fast. He has no authority over the A-Laws and can't protect him. As he takes off, he sees GN particles falling from the sky. Wang sends a coded message to the Ptolemaios informing them that the A-Laws are heading to Catherine's base for an attack. Sumeragi decides to help them out. Heads and Jinx 3s approach as Catherine goes to red alert. Klaus realizes that they are greatly outmatched and will hold them off, but he hopes that Celestial Being will come to help. The Ahead drops automatons onto the base. That is when Celestial Being comes in to help. Tom Cruise decides to join for funsies. Allelujah in the Arios Camille's right through some Jinxes, while Tieria uses his double bazooka. Lock-On takes out the automatons. Oh yeah, Louise is here and she is just watching the battle, not doing anything again. That is until Lock-On attacks her and she runs away. They are able to hold off the A-Laws, but it was a massacre. Much of Catherine has been killed in action. Saji returns to find death and destruction. He blames himself for running away and opening his mouth. Meanwhile, Setsuna and Marina return to Azadistan to find the city on fire. It was caused by Ali in the Arch Gundam. Archie? I'm gonna go with Arch. Someone will correct me. The G&W 20,000 Arch Gundam is built off of the Gundam Throne Zwei and developed by the Innovators. It has many features of the Throne Gundam, but also has an overall performance increase. This has 3 G and Tau drives and increased armor. It also has a core fighter used mainly for escape. There are enhanced sensors on its 5-head. Weapons include the GN Buster Sword, which is both a beam and physical sword. The sword has a rifle mode that can be used when firing. It is strong enough to deflect 00's beam attacks. Other weapons are 10 GN Fangs, a GN Beam Saber, and a GN Shield. Klaus and his men spent 3 years building this base, only for it to go down in minutes. As Saji returns to the base, Tieria says, hey buddy, I wonder where you went off to. He wants to know if he is an ELS spy. Sumeragi watches the squad mourn for a comrade. This triggers a flashback to when she was an AUG officer and accidentally friendly fired on someone she loved. The blood rushes to her tits and she passes out. Tieria gives Saji a bright slap and says, "Congratulations, you are responsible for a massacre. This blood is on your hands and you are no different than us. So get off your high horse and try to exist in the real world instead of the ideological version you have in your head." Setsuna and Marina, hey, can you stop crying? Setsuna and Marina return from Azadistan as there was nothing they could do without a Gundam. Marina informs Shiden of the destruction of Azadistan. She is actually mad that Setsuna brought her back here as she would have died trying to fight. Celestial Being will help with supplies for Catherine for the time being. At EFS, Katie Mannequin is conflicted and wonders if she is no different than Lint. Soma is not feeling good about the last operation either. Sergei sends him a coded message informing her that he was the reason that ELS found the base. Lint slaps and chastises Sergei for letting Saji go. Just like the Titans in UC, even though Sergei is a higher rank than Lint, the ELS are above rank. Catherine begins evacuating the people, while Celestial Being tries to head off ELS, knowing that they will come back for a second attack. While Soma talks to Louise, Andre approaches and instantly falls in love with her. "Don't be weird, dude."
乙女だ。
Aw, you're being weird. As Katie is giving her briefing, Tom Cruise walks in and says, "00 is mine. You can't have it," and then just walks out. Everyone seems to expect this from him now. The Gundams launch and approach the ELS squadron. They engage in battle. Louise heads toward the ship, while Allelujah and Soma fight. Tom Cruise comes in and attacks 00. Lassie is taking tactical command since Sumeragi is still passed out. Ian goes to use Ptolemaios' cannons. Saji wants to help him. Katie realizes that this isn't the command tactics of Sumeragi and switches things up. Louise approaches the ship and Saji shoots while Ian aims, but Saji hesitates for a good 10 seconds before not firing. He couldn't bring himself to do it. Andre comes in to protect Louise from countermeasures, and they get out of range of the Ptolemaios. As Setsuna fights the ahead Sakigake, he activates the Transam system. This is his first time activating it since sinking 00, and like Ian Vashti said, it overloads the GN drives. His suit is dead in the water. Tom Cruise notices this and doesn't kill him as he realizes this is an uneven match. Sumeragi wakes up and tells the Gundam Meisters to split up while the Ptolemy creates a smokescreen. Kitty realizes that the tactics have changed and Sumeragi is back in command. She tells the ELS to fall back. They don't have signal with Arios Gundam. The ELS also think that Soma went down in action as well. The two battled and crash-landed nearby. Allelujah gets out of his mobile suit and wakes up Soma. He calls her Mari, but she proceeds to fight him. He seems to unlock her memories and she passes out. But before she does, she remembered Allelujah. Sergei heads out to find Soma. Andre and Louise search as well, but the ELS higher-ups call off the search. Soma wakes up in a camp set up by Allelujah. Their mobile suits don't work. He wonders how Mari became Soma. She mentions that they probably implanted a false personality in her. She seems to now have both Soma and Mari's memories. He tells her of how they escaped from the super soldier lab. He regretted not taking her with him, but there wasn't enough food for everyone. Eventually, Hallelujah came out and killed all the other children, allowing him to survive. Hallelujah is just another part of him, and he did all those bad things, and he accepts that. Sergei eventually finds Allelujah's camp. Catherine meets up with another Catherine group. They are informed that the Federation is moving on the Middle East and establishing provisional governments. Effectively, Azadistan is no more. Marina is with them and is in shock. Sergei points a gun at Allelujah and tells him to get away from Soma. But she tells him, "Yo man, I'm not that person anymore. Also, I'm an adult. Adults don't need to be adopted." He shoots his gun in the air and says that he will tell his subordinates that Soma died in battle so she could live a life of peace. Mari tells Sergei that she still thinks of him as a father. That is good enough for him, and he takes his leave. Lock-On finds him and says, "What the hell, man? We've been stressed and trying to find you and you're just making out with a woman? Rude." The Ptolemaios crew are informed that Allelujah has been found. Setsuna smiles, and Saji realizes that he isn't a complete Gundam, and there is some human in there. Tieria is still scouting when he gets news of Allelujah. That is when Regina Rejet approaches him. They realize that they look the same. Regina says that is because they have the same DNA. Regina tells Tieria that they look alike because they share the same DNA and that they are innovators. Regina begins talking to him inside his head. They say that this is due to quantum brainwaves using GN particles.
This is how Tieria was able to interface with Veda. He didn't know that there were more like him. Regina tells him their plan. Phase 1 was to unify the world, essentially everything we saw in Season 1. Phase 2 is to use ALAs to unite the world. Phase 3 is to get humanity to move into space. This is Aeolia's plans according to the Innovators, and their mission is to guide people into space. Ribbons, using quantum brainwaves, listens to their conversation. Everyone is gossiping about Allelujah and Soma. This makes Saji miss Louise, and Red Haro can sense it. Luckily, Red Haro isn't in stabbing mood right now. Marina barges into the room and asks Soma and Allelujah if they are lovers. She says their awkward reaction says everything. The Federation is currently dissolving Azadistan under the Middle East Renewal Plan. Setsuna thinks of Marina. Marina is with Catherine and makes her problems the children's problems. Tieria has Regina on his mind. Regina told him that he was a walking contradiction working with celestial being and tells him to join his fellow innovators. He then sees Neil Delandy telling him to do what he believes is right. Felt blames the deaths of Lichty, Christina, Lock-On, and Dr. Marino on Soma, even though it isn't her fault. Sergei reported to Katie that Soma was killed in action, but something doesn't seem right to her. Louise wants to use the Ahead Smoltron. Katie denies it, but Lent gives her permission in exchange for helping out in a mission. There is still a lot of infighting between Katie and Lent. The ALAs receive new members. One is Revival in the Gadessa. The G&Z 003 Gadessa is a specialized bombardment mobile suit more powerful than the Ahead. The G&Z series of mobile suits are exclusively used by Innovators. These are built off of the data of previous generation mobile suits. It is built off of the GRM Gundam introduced in OOV. Like Gundam Virtue, this unit has a GN Mega Launcher, and its firepower is greater than the Virginia-class ship. For long-range, high-speed travel, the Gadessa can equip a pair of optional leg-mounted booster units. It also has a core fighter for escaping. Other weapons include a Gean Beam Saber, Gean Vulcans, and a Gean Cutter, which emits a Gean Field. Unlike Celestial Being, these are still connected to Veda. The other is Patrick Colasar in a Jinx 3. The Ptolemaios team watches as the Federation announces their reformation plan for the Middle East. Setsuna notes the world will do nothing about this. Currently, things are great for the Federation nations. The economy is booming and everyone is flourishing. People tend to look the other way when things are going well for them. Tieria remembers Regina mentioning their second phase being to use the ALAs to unify the world. Unification through force is way easier than using diplomacy. Katie calls Patrick an idiot for joining them, but he says that he survived an attack from the Gundam 7 times, and people call him Colasar the Indestructible. Katie says, "You idiot, they're making fun of you, not praising you." Wang informs Celestial Being about a party being hosted by the Innovators. Tieria and Setsuna volunteer to go on the mission. Wang has set this up, however, as she is currently working with the Innovators. She shows up and notices that Tieria is there undercover, dressed like a woman. He volunteered because he really wanted to wear a dress, I guess. At the party is also Homer and Billy Katagiri, along with Louise. Her family is rich and a major sponsor of the ALAs, and most likely the reason for her upward mobility within the military. After talking to Ribbons, she leaves the party early and notices Setsuna from years earlier. Ribbons dances with Tieria and tells him that he could give him back access rights to Veda. Tieria and Ribbons talk privately. The Celestial Being realizes that they are the reason that Natalie deactivated during the battle in the past. Ribbons says that Celestial Being's destruction is a part of the plan. It was a part of the plan in Season 1, but the Ptolemaios team went off book. Setsuna tells Louise that Saji is in space. To her, that means he finally fulfilled his dreams. He says that he is sure that he is thinking of her. This triggers Louise getting the attention of Billy, who is leaving the party. He heads over and recognizes Setsuna as the Celestial Being from their first encounter in the Middle East. Meanwhile, Tieria says that they are right because Aeolia Schoenberg trusted them with the Transam system. Ribbons, who is able to read his mind, says that Lock-On and his death has made him an emotional and vengeful innovator. Tieria pulls out a gun.
Hey, nice legs.
The Innovate Healing Care. Okay, what the hell? This is the worst name of them all. At least Revival is an alliteration. Hilling shoots the gun out of Tieria's hand. He jumps out of the window, and he and Setsuna get out of there as fast as possible. Regina is off in the distance, acting all mysterious and androgynous. Even they seem to be uncertain of the future. Will it tip to the hands of Ribbons or Celestial Being? As the two make their escape, they run into Ali Al-Sechez in the Archie Gundam. They engage in battle. Setsuna realizes that it is Ali. Tieria says, "Surprise, I have arms on my shoulders." Ali says, "Oh yeah? Well, I have beam sabers on my feet." Ali is able to make his escape as Lock-On and Allelujah come to help. He tells Lock-On that he is the man who killed his brother. Regina wonders if the twin drive system that Celestial Being has is made by them, or is it a part of Aeolia's plan? Ribbon says it doesn't matter, as it won't hold up against Revive's Gadessa. Sumeragi makes plans for them to head back into space, as the Federation is on to their location underwater. Katie and Lint are planning their attack on the Ptolemaios. Revival wants to hang out in orbit waiting for them to make their escape while they handle business Earthside. Tieria tells Lyle, "Why won't you be mad about your brother's death like me?" He says that it is in the past. Setsuna opens up and tells him that he was a part of KPSA and responsible for his parents' death in the past. This doesn't change Lyle's mindset. He tells them they are fighting for the future. Tom Cruise visits Billy requesting a new unit. He wants something with great speed and a big sword. He also knows that Alo's next mission will fail, which is why he isn't helping. The Alo's launch. The Ptolemy prepares to surface. Using the Transam system, the ship bursts out of the water and breaks into the atmosphere. They fire countermeasures and make it to the stratosphere. That is where Revive is waiting. They fire the Gian Mega Launcher. It doesn't do any damage, but it does knock the Ptolemy off course. Li Zhejiang and his Aloth fleet are also waiting for the celestial being ship. Sumeragi commanded the Gundam team to launch while they were breaking through the atmosphere. Hey wait, aren't the Gundams the one who power the Ptolemaios' Transam system? Never mind. Because of this, Setsuna gets a preemptive attack on Li Zhejiang's fleet and takes them out with the quickness. Sumeragi receives a message from Katie saying good job, but also calling her Lisa Kujo, her real name. She knows who she is. Losing Li Zhejiang, Homer is enforced to get help from the Innovators. Ian Vashti also got his hands on the Riser. 14 years ago, Union Territory, International University. A young Billy is bidding farewell to Lisa Kujo, who is a super genius and graduated early. Her goal is to become a tactical forecaster like Katie. In the present, she wonders what she should do, as she always seems to be running from her past. She wonders why Katie joined the A-Laws. Sergei is at the borders of the Seal Kingdom, a nation that held its own military strength and resisted the Federation. This nation has the influence to sway other nations from joining. If they show resistance, then other nations will follow. Catherine has lost communication with her contacts in the Middle East. Shiden wants to use their resources to leak the truth coming out of Seal, as the Federation seems to be controlling the narrative on what is going down in the Middle East. They try to contact the royal family. Shiden relays intel to Marina. She tells the princess that she needs to fight for her nation, but she is too high on that peace train. Shiden seems to be over-convincing her that peace can't be achieved without fighting for it. Katie is left in charge of the Gundam as Lint is off on his own mission. She wonders if Sumeragi is still holding on to the loss of Emilio from the past. The enemy approaches the Ptolemy, and Soma gets a braingasm, saying something dangerous is coming. Revive receives a telepathic message from Bring Stability, telling him to start the mission. I hate these names. Something fast approaches them. Setsuna launches. It is the Goratso. The GNZ 005 Goratso is a close combat mobile suit. Its main weapons are the GN Beam claws, which emit a GN Beam saber from its fingers. You could cross the streams and make it a large beam saber. This, along with the Gadessa, uses the GN Tau drive. Like the other GNZ mobile suits, it could use the long-range boosters. This more or less has the same basic structure as the Gadessa. Weapons include GN Vulcans, the GN Cutter, and GN Spikes, which are essentially brass knuckles in the form of a GN field. As Setsuna attacks, it uses its GN field. Celestial Being are amazed that the Federation has this technology. The enemy is able to tear through Setsuna's GN sword. The mobile suit makes its retreat. Sumeragi recognizes that they were just putting on a show of force. Tieria is certain that it is the Innovators. He isn't telling the crew about what Regina told him and wonders why he still hesitates to tell the truth. Alo's Commander Goodman says that their new weapon will certainly take down the Gundams. The Ptolemy makes its way back to the L3 base. They meet up with Ian and Linda, his wife. She played a bigger role in the Gundam 00F manga, but is finally getting some play in animated form. Also, Ian likes him young. They also have with them a new member of Celestial Being, a new returner. A new returner? Well, obviously it's an Innovator spy because of how stupid that name is. She was brought on board by Wang, who is currently working against Celestial Being, though they don't know yet. The Vashtis show off the new Riser and the GN Archer. We will break these down next time. Patrick plays whack-a-mole behind Katie while asking for a new model. She tells him to shut up. The pilot of the Goratso is Bring Stability. He tells Revive that they are using Momento Mori. Nina Trinity meets with Ali, who is working with Wang. She tries to kill him for killing her brothers, but he pulls a gun on her. He says, "Oh, you're that little girl from the past, but now you are a woman." Gross. In space, Lint preps Momento Mori. This was his secret mission. Momento Mori is a giant laser designed and developed by Ribbons with the help of Wang and the Federation. It can vaporize a small country and is as strong as a nuclear weapon. It is installed on one of the solar towers in low Earth orbit. This weapon is limited by the Earth's current rotation. If you miss your shot, you have to wait a day to fire again. The Federation uses Momento Mori on the Seal Kingdom. Setsuna tests the riser connected to 00. It exceeds the theoretical output. Everything up until this point has been Celestial Being reverse engineering the twin drive system. With the riser, they have achieved Aelia Schoenberg's original vision for the twin drive system. This amplifies everyone's quantum brainwaves on board the ship. For Soma, this allows her to sense that Sergei is too close to the laser and is about to die. For Allelujah, this activates Hallelujah. There's a giant crater where the Seal Kingdom once was. Sergei is completely fine. Catherine's man on the inside was killed during this attack. Momento Mori is the ultimate weapon for handling anti-Federation forces. Everyone who experienced a sudden sensation returns to normal. The 00 with the riser has reached the theoretical limit. While this is happening, we learn through Sumeragi that Lassie has what is most likely particle poisoning, which will eventually kill him. Lassie still decides to stay with Celestial Being knowing this. Tieria finally informs the rest of the team about the Innovators and is meeting with them. They decide to help attack Momento Mori. Meanwhile, Catherine is prepping an attack in space. They have 23 cruisers and 43 mobile suits. Celestial Being now knows that the Innovators are the ones who are responsible for the UN getting the GN drives and the creation of the ELS. Tieria is concerned that the Ptolemaios crew may be straying from the path of Veda. But Sumeragi says that people who use weapons like Momento Mori aren't trying to save the world from war. Nina hates that they are working with the Innovators and Ali and starts to turn on Wang. Revive and Bring plan on drawing out Celestial Being. Barack looks at a picture of his family who recently died at the hands of Catherine. Oh, this dude's gonna die. Saji and Anu will be staying on board. The Vashti family say their goodbyes. Their hidden base is suddenly attacked. The Gundams launch. The base goes up in flames as the Ptolemy leaves. Servi fires but brings stability, deflects the attack. Revive uses the GN Mega Launcher and fires on the Ptolemaios. It hits the hangar, injuring Ian. Saji finds him and tells him to pilot the riser. They need the riser and 00 to survive this. He launches and docks with 00, creating the 00 riser. The GN Quadruple O plus GNR 010 00 riser is the combination of 00 and riser, and it solves the problem of the twin drive system overloading when going into Transam mode. The performance of 00 Riser exceeds all previous Gundams and was beyond expectations. Thus, the word Gundam was removed from its name as it's considered to have transcended the Gundam category. It goes beyond its expectations and can essentially teleport via quantization. Bro science! It also allows communication through quantum brainwaves. Red Hotto can dock with the riser. This form does not provide it with any new weapons. Once attached, the speed of 00 increases insanely. The ELS are unable to keep up. Setsuna swings around an asteroid and kills Barack. Yep, there he goes. The quantum brainwaves engulf the entire battlefield. Saji and Setsuna have a naked poop session together. The quantum brainwaves allow Saji and Louise to communicate psychically to one another. She wonders why Saji is working with Celestial Being. 00 Riser in Transam mode continues fighting against Bring Stability. 00's Vulcans take out the cameras on the Garazzo. He brings up auxiliary cameras to see Setsuna right in front of him. Surprise, it's a Gundam! He takes out the unit, but not before Bring ejects. Tieria doesn't want to risk using the Transam system. Patrick surrounds Lock-On, but is saved by Tieria. Setsuna hears a voice in his head. It is Revive and the Gadessa. Hiding behind an asteroid, he takes aim with his mega launcher. 00 is able to dodge the attack. He goes in, but Bring stabs Setsuna with the beam saber. However, it was a mirage of 00 created with the help of the GN particles and great speeds that exceeds Aelia's theoretical limits. Ribbons refers to this as quantization. From behind the Gadessa comes the real 00. He uses his GM beam sword to tear through the unit. Bring ejects and whines, stating that he, as an innovator, should be better. The Transam system is up. Setsuna doesn't really understand what just happened there. Saji ejects the riser from 00. He wants to chase after Louise. Ribbons didn't realize that they had this kind of power. Wang asks what is wrong, and he gives her a slap. Not quite a bright slap. I call it the Crux Dogati. The ELS begin to fall back. Melina goes to help fix the Gundams. Saji is trying to use the riser, but it ain't going anywhere. Oh, how embarrassing. Louise thinks that Saji is responsible for the death of her parents. The Vashtis made it out alive, but Ian is greatly injured. Setsuna tries to cheer up the crybaby by telling him to fight for Louise. but he slaps him out of anger. Not quite a bright slap, more of a my girlfriend left me kind of a slap. However, Setsuna fell like a brick. That wasn't that hard of a slap. Lock-on overhears the conversation. He tells Setsuna that he sucks at talking to people and should have said something like, I will fight and you do all the talking. Yeah, he isn't wrong. You just told him to fight. That's so vague. Saji has another cry session by himself. On the ELS ship, Louise is sad about losing comrade Barack. Oh no, not Barack. Bush. Was this your doing? Barack was posthumously promoted to lieutenant colonel. Andre comes in and tries to fillet her arm, but she isn't having any of that. Revive is complaining to Bring when they get a message from Ribbons via quantum brainwaves to take down the Gundam. Revive thinks that not even Ribbons knows of the twin drive system. Meanwhile, the Rikira? It doesn't really matter. This kingdom is completely wiped out by Momento Mori. Catherine notes that they are wiping out Middle Eastern armies and militias. There was also a giant refugee camp in the area. Marina overhears this, knowing some of the children were from Rikaria. Sergei saw Momento Mori in action, and the ELS put a gag order on him. He can't speak of this incident to anyone. They're waiting for a response from Wang when they learn of the attack on that city that I'm not going to pronounce. With Red Hato, Saji tries to make an escape and find Louise. Mari notices Saji acting sketchy. Saji tries to leave in the riser, but he instead decides to have himself a little cry. The Ptolemaios activates its Transam system and heads towards the Catherine Space Forces. Catherine prepares for a battle in space. They move in to take down Momento Mori, but it is activated and it points directly at half of the Catherine fleet. The superweapon fires, taking out one half of the fleet. Celestial Being watches from afar. Hilling begins firing on the remaining Catherine squad. 4 Catherine ships go down. They have no choice but to begin their missile barrage. They fire, but they are able to shield themselves from the attack. Catherine launches their mobile suits, but they don't seem to have a chance. The flagship is almost shot down, but is saved by 00. Setsuna tells Catherine to pull back. Hilling fires at 00. He notes it is the same unit as before. The two engage in battle. Nina was listening into Wang's conversation and doesn't want her to get her way. She decides to send data regarding Momento Mori to the Ptolemaios team. The data sent over shows that there is a structural weakness in Momento Mori. They think it was Wang who sent over the data. The Ptolemaios moves in closer to the battlefield. Setsuna tricks Hilling into following him. The two fight, but this leaves Momento Mori open. The Ptolemaios moves in. ELS Commander Lynch sends out a fleet to take care of them. The ELS are unable to penetrate their GN field. Momento Mori is fully charged once again. The Ptolemy is in the line of sight of the mega weapon. They have to be in this range in order to hit the weak spot. They fire Momento Mori, but it doesn't stop Ptolemy. It's a strong GN field. Arios is powering the Transam system on the ship. They continue pushing forward. Lock-on activates the Transam. He begins sniping units as they push through. Are they doing a Star Wars trench run? I think they're doing a Star Wars trench run. Hilling tries to fire at the Ptolemaios, but Setsuna distracts her. Lock-on is also using the shield bits to protect the Ptolemaios. It moves in closer. They are in shooting distance. Tieria activates the Transam on Servi and fires its chunky cannon. They miss, but that was a distraction. Lock-on takes aim and fires, getting a direct hit on the weak spot. The Momento Mori falls to pieces and conveniently falls onto Lynch's ship, killing him. Katie's probably feeling a sense of relief at this moment. The mission is complete. Setsuna is called back, but Hilling tries to stop him. Someone distracts Hilling, giving Setsuna the chance to immobilize the Gedessa. Setsuna notes that the person who helped him has a GN Tau drive. It was Nina. Back on Earth, the children are excited by shooting stars, but Klaus says, "This is war!" Yeah, get those future child soldiers riled up. Gotta start early. Elsewhere, Sergei meets with Colonel Pang Hercury. Like Mercury, but with an H? Sure, why not? A Gedessa, a Garazzo, and one mysterious mobile armor makes its way towards the Ptolemaios. It is the Empress. The GNMA Y0001 Empress is a mobile armor that is a prototype used to collect data for the combat-ready variant, the Regnet, which will be piloted by Louise. It was developed off of the Salvatore seen in Season 1. It has the same cockpit as the Gedessa, and is very mobile despite its size. Its main weapons are the Egner whips, which are designed to penetrate the GN field and can electrocute a unit. Other weapons include a large beam cannon, a GN particle cannon, a claw arm, and an anti-ship GN sword. It also has a GN field. Homer is informed that Momento Mori has fallen. Setsuna catches up with the Ptolemaios only to find scraps everywhere. Nina contacts him and informs him that his ship dropped down to Earth. Pang Hercury informs Sergei that people within the Federation are trying to start a coup against the ELS, and that he is their ringleader. It seems he wants Sergei to join. Ian Vashti wakes up from the medbay. He wakes up to gravity. He realizes he is on Earth. They catch Ian up on things. It seems they used the smoke screen to get away from the mobile armor, but most of the sensors are destroyed along with navigation. Setsuna passes over a crater caused by Momento Mori. That is when Ali passes by in the Arch Gundam. Ali wanted him to chase him, and he took the bait. Catherine learns of a faction trying to do a coup within ESF. Klaus decides to go meet with them. Setsuna chases Ali all the way back to Krugus. The two get out of their mobile suits and talk. He brought Ribbons, who wants to talk to the Gundam and the other Gundam. He calls him by his real name, Soren. Ribbon says that they met for the first time 11 years ago. He was the one in O Gundam back in the day. He was testing the Gundam and was supposed to kill anyone who laid eyes on it, but Ribbons spared him. He was also the one who recommended Veda to Celestial Being. Setsuna refuses to help, and Ali shoots him, but he only shoots him in the arm, allowing him to escape. Ribbons is like, you had one job, dude. This dude's a warmonger. What did you expect? The two get into their mobile suits and begin fighting. Ali is amazed that he could fight with an injury. Meanwhile, the other Gundams launch from the Ptolemaios as two mobile suits approach them. They encounter Revive in the Grazzo and Bring in the Gadessa. Arios and Seravi launch and engage with the two Innovators. Bring takes off Seravi's left arm, but the unit grabs the Innovator and goes into Transam mode. It also transforms. Just like Gundam Virtue's Natalie, so too does Seravi have another form. He transforms into Seraphim. The GN-009 Seraphim Gundam is developed off of data from Natalie. This version is stored in the backpack and turns into mobile suit form once activated. It also has a trial system, but it must be connected to Veda to use it. This unit can last longer than the old trial system. This also has a tiny face when the trial system is activated, like Seravi's face burst mode. Tidia's pilot seat transfers between Seravi and Seraphim. Both arms can transform into GN cannons. Other weapons include a GN Beam Saber, a GN Bazooka 2, and a GN Machine Gun. He fires at point-blank range, killing Bring. Finally, I'm tired of saying his name. Bring is a verb. Setsuna chases Ali when they run into Klaus's shuttle, who is heading to meet with the ESF faction. Ali takes the ship as a prisoner, but Double Riser in Transam mode moves in too quickly for him to notice. He gets the upper hand and even has a moment to kill Ali, but he can hear Marina and the children sing back down on Earth. He just takes out Arch Gundam, allowing Ali to escape. In space, Louise meets with Divine Nova. Okay, this name isn't as bad as the others. He is the pilot of the Empress and tells Louise that she too will get one for her own. Back on Earth, Billy gives Tom Cruise a new mobile suit. It is the Masurao. The Jinx UO2X Masurao is designed to be the next generation of mobile suits, replacing the Jinx 3 and the Ahead. As this is Tom Cruise's mobile suit, it is the evolution of his Union flag back in Season 1. It started with the flag, but it was recently developed from the Ahead Sakigake. Its main weapons are the GN Beam Sabers, which Bushido calls Howard Mason and Daryl Dodge after his fallen comrades. It has the ability to recognize and react to certain flight patterns. Other weapons include the Beam Chakram built into the head, and GN Vulcans. It also has a GN field and a Trans-Am system, though Tom Cruise takes a heavy burden from using it. Up in space, Divine is angry over Bring's death. Hilling wants to give him a handy to calm him down, but he is consumed with hate. That's a free handy. 00 lands at Catherine Base in the Middle East. He gets out of the Gundam and instantly passes out from blood loss. Good timing. Oh no, the machines are now using machines. Everyone is helping with the repairs on the Ptolemy. They wonder where Setsuna is. They head to the rendezvous point, which happens to be a different Catherine base. Hercule wants Sergei to join his coup d'etat, knowing that his old friend won't go against the military. He references this as a reason why his wife Holly is dead, but Sergei stops him from bringing up old memories. Before leaving, he reminds Sergei that the military is designed to protect the people. Klaus and Shiden meet with a contact working with Hercule. They inform them that they have a contact with Celestial Being. Shiden wonders if this is wise. The ELS and with them the Innovators are planning their next mission. Setsuna is having a nightmare about killing his parents once again when he is awoken by Marina and the children. He tells her he could hear their song from space. Setsuna is informed that the Ptolemy has picked up supplies from the other base. However, the ship gets a red alert. The ELS are on their way. Patrick Colasar wasn't allowed to pilot a mobile suit and instead pilots Katie Madigan's shuttle. She needs his dumb luck to rub off on her. Also, the shuttles look like little drone ships. Lock on snipes while Arius and Seravi get in close. They engage with the Innovators. The Empress uses the Egner whip on both Arius and Seravi. The Gian Archer is the only other weapon on board the Ptolemy. Madi/Soma wants to pilot it. Even though he's injured, Setsuna has to go help his friends. He says to Marina next time they meet, he wants to hear her sing with the children. He takes off. Katie gets an encoded message from HQ. The ALOS suddenly retreat. Celestial Being doesn't know what is happening, but Katie is informed that a coup is currently taking place at the orbital elevator. They are targeting the African tower. Setsuna is informed of this before the Ptolemaios crew understands what is going on. As he approaches, he is met with Tom Cruise. The Masadao activates its own Transam system. Hercules seized control of Africa's solar tower and all of its operations. He informs the citizens that they have been living a sense of false peace, and that the ALOS and ESF have become nothing more than a dictatorship. A Secretary of the Press type informs the people of the demands of Hercules and his men. In exchange for the citizens that he has hostage, ESF must dissolve the Federation Assembly. They must release thousands of activists in confinement, probably without due process if I had to guess, and $100 billion, which can't even buy you a house in 2312. Inflation, man. They say they will not concede to their demands. Sergei flashes back to a conversation with his wife Holly and Hercules. He believes solving the energy crisis is a path to peace. Homer is concerned this will cause more anti-government activity. Nina asks Wang why the Innovators aren't getting involved. It seems even they don't fully understand their motives or why they're letting the coup happen. Sumeragi also understands that the Innovators are allowing this to happen and wonders why. She knows Setsuna will most likely head to the solar tower once they find out. They have to go find him. The ALOS begin an attack. The heads launch automatons.
In other words, it's a symbol that denies the absence of meaning.
At the solar tower, Hercules spots someone on the radar approaching their location. He notes that it is a Tieten Tautsu, but it isn't. It is a Tieten all-region type. The MSJ-063A Tieten all-region type is a normal pilot variant of the Tieten Tautsu, which was originally designed for super soldiers. This can operate in all environments and is very mobile and can fly in Earth's atmosphere. Sergei's unit will have a custom beam rifle and chest-mounted machine guns. These units stopped being used as they were useless in the Age of the Gundam and Geon Drive. Meanwhile, baby Andrei Smirnov reflects on Hercules. He wasn't just Sergei's superior, but a family friend. Rather than going to his father for a recommendation, Andrei actually went to Hercules. He tells Andrei to not hate his father so much. Back on the tower, Sergei delivers a message to Hercules regarding ESF's unwillingness to give in to the demands. While delivering the message, Sergei decides to stay and help the cause. Automatons break through and begin attacking civilians along with the rebels. Hercules was hoping that he could use these so he could show this to the world. Had to let a couple people die to prove that, but hey, this guy. However, Hercules was planning on letting the civilians go. Except for this guy. Hercules, however, does mention that the pain caused here is worth getting the word out. He is cool with bearing the burdens. For him, it is all about sowing doubt. On Earth, the media are claiming that the rebels are killing civilians rather than the ALOS. Hercules says that the truth will be revealed soon enough and doesn't care. Setsuna and Tom Cruise continue their fight. Last time he was able to activate a Transcend system of his own. The Masadao tries to penetrate 00's GN field. Tom Cruise says that he is better than him, but Setsuna goes, "Nuh-uh, I'm better." And Gundam. Luckily, Setsuna is saved by the Ptolemaios crew because Tom Cruise really beat him up. All the other Gundam Meisters give Setsuna a hug. Gundam's hugging looks funny. Also, you're gonna scratch the paint. You're just giving Ian Vashti more work to do. Poor guy. Katie, who was put on standby, notices the formation of the army around the tower. She realizes they must have another Momento Mori. Sumeragi realizes this too. We flash back to an assault on the former HRL-controlled solar tower being attacked. Sergei knows that Holly is there, but he has to focus on his mission. This, of course, led to the death of his wife. In the present, everyone preps for evac on the solar tower. Hercules was being too careless and didn't consider the ALOS would go full scorched earth. There are 60,000 private citizens on this tower, and the ALOS are willing to kill them all. Meanwhile, Ribbons has some delusions of grandeur. The ALOS are taking out any of Catherine's troops around the solar tower. The Gundams, minus Setsuna, engage. But Setsuna is ready to launch. Even though injured, he knows 00 Riser is the only thing that can take it out. He asks for Saji's help. The two men dock while Red Hotto cheers them on. Oh, you kids in your docking. Momento Mori preps to fire. As 00 Riser heads up to take it down, they are met with the Empress, piloted by Divine Nova. The Gundam goes into Transam mode and fires on Momento Mori, but it isn't a beam blast. It is a giant beam saber. It begins slowly slicing through Momento Mori, but it isn't fast enough as it fires. Also, Setsuna killed Divine Nova while firing on Momento Mori. It's such a non-death I almost forgot about it. Momento Mori's blast hits the tower. The orbital elevator has protocols in place that purge the exterior armor
armor. This allows them to sacrifice part of the tower without destroying the entire thing. Most of the debris will burn up on re-entry, but the lower fragments are going to fall towards Earth. Sumeragi sends out a message to everyone informing them that if they don't shoot down the debris, millions will die. The Gundams go to work. Mari helps piloting the GN Archer. The GNR 101A GN Archer is a transformable mobile suit and is a support unit for Arios. It can attach to Arios in flight form, creating the Archer Arios. This increases speed, armaments, and mobility. This is more superior to Kyrios' tail booster. When connected to Arios, control is assumed to the Gundam. This is built off of Gundam Artemy, piloted by 874. Check out our coverage of OOF and the Foreste team for more on this unit. Weapons include a GN beam rifle, GN missiles, 2 GN beam sabers, and GN Vulcans. Catherine, along with Hercules' team, help out in destroying the debris. I know it's better than death, but all these vaporized heavy metals in the atmosphere can't be good, right? That is when the ALOS come in to attack. Though ordered to attack, many of them join in to help stop the debris. Andre realizes that Hercules is a part of the coup. Tieria uses his GN Hyper Bazooka, which does far more cleanup than your average GN rifle. As the debris calms down, Hercules is shot down by Andre. He goes in and attacks his dad. He stabs Sergei with a GN beam saber, killing his father. This death causes the super soldier in Madi to activate. It has been 4 months since the attack on the orbital elevator. The countermeasures from the attack worked, as it only affected a tiny chunk of the tower. It is already in the process of being rebuilt. Power has been reestablished. Damn, 4 months without electricity. The ELS plan of fear worked, as this allowed them to assume authority over all of ESF's military forces, similarly to the Titans taking full control in Universal Century. The ALOS are informed of an attack by Celestial Being. This is their first attack in 4 months. They're finishing their business from months ago and finally taking out Momento Mori too. Mari is fighting once again after the death of Sergei. She has also become the super soldier Soma Pieris again, and is being hostile towards Allelujah. When Ali shot Setsuna a few episodes ago, his wound was infected with the same GN particle cancer that Lassie has. It's spreading slow, however. Ribbons tells Wang that the usefulness of humans will wither away faster than her beauty. That burned harder than Lassie's GN particle cancer. He tells her they can never become innovators. Louise wonders if she will be able to fire on Saji if the moment calls for it. While with Lock-On, Anu begins spacing out. Revive was able to pick up on her. The ALOS are planning an attack on the Ptolemaios. They prep for launch. Lock-On embarrasses Anu on the bridge by saying that he loves her. Oh, she's definitely gonna die. This whole episode, everyone seems to be fighting for something. But what is Setsuna fighting for?
Gundam.
Oh, right. Klaus and Catherine are hiding in a remote location, but it appears they have been found out.
Kenny!
No, not Kenny, you bastards! Marina, Shiden, and the kids flee underground. Shiden tries to give Marina a gun, but she is all about that total pacifism. Soma detaches from Arios and tries to find Andre. Setsuna activates the Transam system once again, releasing a bunch of GN particles. This causes Allelujah to turn into Hallelujah. Saji tries to reach out to Louise. They have a mind conversation. She pulls a gun on him. Can you shoot someone while having a conversation in your mind? This causes her to freak out in the real world. Sheridan engages with Revive. He activates his Transam system and tears through his mobile suit. Revive tries to escape, but Tieria uses Seraphim to capture his core pod. Andre tries to pull Louise back, but Soma continues to attack him. She rushes in, but Arias holds her back as she is moving too far out. As the ALOS retreat, Saji yells at everyone saying that Celestial Being is just making everything worse. Meanwhile, Tom Cruise just watches. You know, if you helped, you guys probably could have taken down Celestial Being. Nope. Just gonna brood, I guess. As Marina is unwilling to hold a gun, Shiden wants her to hide with the children. She is just going to be a liability to her. Saji says that he will fight to help bring Louise back. Celestial Being goes to interrogate Revive. As they talk to him, Anu is activated. She turns to Lassie and shoots him. After watching Setsuna's fight, Ribbons wants 00 for his own. Earlier, Regina gave Wang intel on the location of Veda. However, Ribbons knows this. As Wang goes to the location, she is stopped by Nina. The Gundam Throne Drive fires and destroys her ship. Revive doesn't know where Veda is located. Felt tells the team that Anu is an innovator and took Melina hostage. They plan on taking 00. As they have a prisoner, Revive just walks out. He infects the control system with a virus. Soma runs into Anu holding Melina. Soma, as a super soldier, has minor quantum brainwave capabilities and can hear Anu's thoughts. Lock-On and Setsuna are able to trick her and get Melina to safety. She runs to a shuttle while Revive takes the riser. 00 and Sheridan chase after Revive. Unbeknownst to him, Red Hato was in the cockpit. The Red Hato connects to 00 and begins the docking process. The one chance you had to stab someone and you don't do it. Red Hato is getting soft. He needs to spend time with Hato from Gundam San. Revive is locked out of riser. He says screw this and shoots up the cockpit and bails.
If he didn't have control of the systems, how did he open the hatch? He gets into a new shuttle. Lock-on aims at the shuttle, but he is unable to take the shot. Louise meets with Ribbons, who gives her the Regnant. The GNMA OOV Regnant is a transformable mobile armor built off of the Empress. This unit has multiple GN drives. In mobile suit form, it has a Gundam face, something that Louise hates. Its main weapon is the GN beam cannon, which has the ability to curve the beam. It also has 10 GN fangs with a built-in beam cannon, though most of the time they're used as kamikaze bits. Other weapons include an electromagnetic whip, GN micro missiles, an anti-ship GN sword, and GN Vulcans. He plans on making her the first human innovator. Her eyes glow just like the other Innovades. They were able to remove the virus from the ship. Lassie is in a healing pod. Setsuna tells Lock-on that he is going to kill his girlfriend. Mobile suits approach the Ptolemy. In the Gadessa is Hilling, and Anu is in the Gaddis. The GNZ 007 Gaddis is an Innovate exclusive mobile suit made for a new returner. Veda is built into the unit, allowing increased performance. Like the Gadessa, it has a line sensor, a core fighter, and optional leg-mounted boosters. Weapons include GN Beam Saber Fang, a GN Heat Saber, GN Vulcans, and a GN Cutter. This is a superior machine, but Anu isn't the best pilot to utilize its power. Louise is in the Regnant. She fires her bendy beam cannon. Lock-on engages with Anu. He activates his Transam system and begins tearing her mobile suit apart, limb by limb. He opens the cockpit and tries to get Anu to come with him, but she begins fighting him again. It appears as though Ribbons is controlling her with quantum brainwaves. She rushes towards Lock-on when suddenly she is shot. It is Setsuna. He says, "Bitch, I told you I was gonna kill her. Now let me sprinkle you with some GN fairy dust, so you and your dying girlfriend can have a naked quantum brainwave sesh." Anu is killed. The other Innovators make their retreat. Setsuna tells Saji that Anu wasn't the same Anu, and if he didn't act, she would have killed Lock-on. He says that he could sense that it is the same for Louise. Setsuna's eyes glow like an Innovator. While the ship goes offline for a moment, they receive a distress call from an unfinished colony at Lagrange 5. Linda Vashti and a bunch of scientists also fled to L5, so Ian wants to go check up on her and get supplies. It happens to be Wang who survived her attack from Nina. Allelujah wants Soma to take Lassie's place since he's been shot, but she ain't having it. She wants to die in battle. Lock-on apologizes for punching the Gundam earlier, but he points a gun at his back. Setsuna seems to sense it. Double O Riser launches and heads to L5. Goodman and the A-Laws are making moves without the Innovator's input, even though Louise is supposed to be the first human innovator, and it might be Setsuna. Everyone says that Setsuna has changed over the past few episodes. Marina and the kids have been singing their song over the airwaves. It seems that their song is resonating with the people. This is what Relina was missing. She needed a catchy song. Wang yells at Hong, saying this is all his fault, as he should have been the head of the family, but now she has to deal with all of this. She says, "You're staying by my side till the day you die." That is when Nina catches up to them. She shoots at Wang, but Hong says, "That day is today." He shields her from Nina's bullets and pushes her to safety before he takes a bullet to the face. Nina and Regina are working together against Ribbon's plan. That is when Setsuna arrives. He heads in without Saji to find Wang. She gives him the location where Veda was moved to. She says she can't go with him because of her Keikaku. When he heads back to the Gundam, he is surrounded by Tom Cruise. He challenges him to a duel in his new Susanoo. The GNX Y90-1TW Susanoo is an upgraded version of the Masadao, or rather, the Susanoo is what the Masadao would be if given more time. The gene condenser on the Susanoo's back can supply power to the sabers, named Shiranui and Unru, through a power cable on the back of the head. It has a large beam cannon called the Trip Punisher, with 3 muzzles, one on the abdomen and one on each shoulder. Like Masadao, it has a beam chakram and a transam system. It also is equipped with a power gauntlet on the left arm and a GN claw. As the two fight, Wang tries to flee, but Nina shoots and kills her. Ribbon speaks to her through Hato. He says he is bringing her vengeance. It is Louise and her Regnant. She can finally get revenge for Nina killing her family. The Regnant's fangs tear through the throne Gundam. She stabs through the throne, killing Nina. She begins going mad after getting vengeance. Both Tom Cruise and Setsuna whip out their Transams to see whose is bigger. They end up having a naked GN particle sesh together. It's not gay if GN particles are involved. Setsuna is trying to change the world, but Tom Cruise has come to terms with the fact that he just wants to fight the strongest fighters. He doesn't care and never has cared about this war. Setsuna slices off his arm, disarming the Gundam. Tom Cruise says, "Kill me, you coward," but Setsuna lets him live to fight another day. day. The location of Veda happens to be on the dark side of the moon. Its original location was on the moon, so it didn't go too far. The radars detect something fishy happening around the moon, and they are expecting a lot of company when they arrive. They are going to hide in Lagrange 2, where no colonies are being built. Linda Vashti approaches the Ptolemy with medical supplies. ELS Commander Goodman has 21 Baikal cruisers and 108 mobile suits in his fleet. Linda has brought O Gundam with them, along with another friend. It should be able to sortie for a limited time. Setsuna gives a rousing speech to the team before they head into the final battle. Lassie is healed up and ready to helm the Ptolemy. Catherine is also in space, ready to assist. Why'd you bring the children, though? Why'd you even come to space? Ribbons made clones of Divine Nova. Who are you guys posing for? Felt gives Setsuna a flower. Everyone sorties. Also, why can Archer Arios launch pre-docked while Double O Riser has to dock outside the ship? I have questions. The two fleets converge on one another and begin fighting. Archer detaches from Arios. Gundam Riser activates the Riser Sword, which is the giant beam sword. It takes out 3 Baikal-class ships with ease. They enter into an anti-beam field. Goodman plans on flooding them with mobile suit cannon fodder. While they can't use their beam weapons, they are overwhelmed. The ELS break through the Gundam's defenses and head towards the Ptolemaios. Setsuna still has his Gian sword and can still fight. Catherine comes in to help just in time. They seem to have anticipated the anti-Gian field. Goodman is attacked by another incoming fleet. It happens to be Katie Mannequin in her Ural-class ship. The Ural-class ship was originally developed by former Union engineers and is one of the biggest mobile suit carriers we have seen in this universe, being able to carry 96 mobile suits in total. It looks similar in design to the Virginia class, and it uses the same plasma engines as well. Weapons include laser cannons, anti-aircraft lasers, and Gian missiles. Also, the baby blue is looking good on the Jinx 3. Of course, Patrick Colasar is on her side taking the lead. The Ptolemy team breaks through the anti-Gian field. Setsuna fires on the flagship, killing Goodman. Ribbons has been reading Regina's thoughts and knows her true intentions. She says, screw it, and shoots him in the head. However, another Ribbons walks into the room. He just uploaded his body into another vessel. She goes to kill him again, but is shot first by Ali. The battle wages on. A beam blast nearly hits Katie's ship, but takes out some Catherine vessels. The blast came from the moon. They even took out the ELS mobile suits in the process. It came from the Innovators' mothership, Celestial Being. Celestial Being is an asteroid megafortress and was one of Aeolia's secret projects. This was originally designed to be used by Celestial Being for deep space exploration. The Innovators decide to turn it into a weapon. Its main weapon is the 80mm Gian laser, which is on rails and can rotate 360 degrees around the asteroid. It uses Gian Tau drive energy cartridges to fire this huge beam weapon. It also has several 20mm lasers throughout the asteroid. The base also houses Veda. The Ptolemy heads towards Celestial Being to find Veda. Ribbon launches the Lady Gagas. The Gaga is an autonomous mobile suit designed to be used as a kamikaze weapon. This is done with the help of the Transam system. Since there is no pilot, the Gian drives are in the chest and it has no use for legs. The only weapon on this unit is Gian Vulcans. You could say this is a mobile doll of the sorts. They activate their Transam systems and begin their kamikaze run. They are able to break through the Gian field. Their attack is overwhelming. Katie tries to support the Ptolemaios. The Gagas go in to attack the Ural-class ship, but Patrick protects her, blowing up in the process. It's okay, he's fine. For some reason, the Ptolemy rushes towards a deck on Celestial Being when automatons swarm them. With automatons, they technically have 2 mobile dolls. Suck it, Wing. Setsuna and Saji are attacked by Louise. Lakan enters the base to find Ali. He tries to get revenge for his brother. Lassie pilots O Gundam ACD type and fires at the automatons. The GN000 O Gundam ACD type is the first Celestial Being mobile suit. ACD stands for Actual Combat Deployment. It retains the same armaments as the old Gundam. It's mainly just a color change. Automatons break into the ship, but Felt is able to locate Veda. Thierry goes to look for it, but Revive and Hilling chase him. They activate their Transam. Sumeragi goes to protect the ship when she happens to find Billy. The Innovates find Tieria's mobile suit, but it is empty. He is already inside Celestial Being and finds Ribbons. Double O Riser fights against Louise and Andre. The Regnant transforms the mobile suit form and grabs Double O Riser. That is when Gagas come in. She is willing to kill herself if it means taking down Celestial Being. Tieria says they aren't Innovators, they are Innovades. They are artificially created in the hopes to bring forth real Innovators. Billy believes that the Innovators are superior beings, so the logical choice is to follow them. But Sumeragi thinks that that is just taking away one's freedom. O Gundam is out of energy, and Lassie coughs out blood from his Gian particle cancer. Setsuna unleashes Gian particles. Louise's mobile armor is destroyed, but Setsuna saves her. He tells Saji to take her to safety while he fights against Hilling and Revive. Ribbons shoots Tieria. Dude, you had the upper hand. What the hell happened during the cutaway? Louise wakes up and tries to choke a bitch. But seeing Saji's ring reminds her of the past. Setsuna activates his Transam and can sense finds all his comrades in pain through the Gean field. That is when he activates the Transam Burst system that can only be activated by true innovators. The Gean particles are spread out when activating the original Transam. An innovator can then use those Gean particles to increase speed beyond comprehension. It also allows one to read quantum brainwaves and expands human consciousness, and apparently cure cancer. This is a true innovator. Everyone has been saying that for peace to happen, one must change. Becoming a true innovator is the change that they were all seeking. Setsuna says, "I'm going to force peace onto you bitches. I'm in your head." The power of hugs gets Billy to calm down. Veda suddenly rejects ribbons. Regina says, "Hey man, I'm in your head." Tieria is still alive, and he activates Seraphim and the trial system. It is able to deactivate all of the surrounding mobile suits. Yeah, maybe start with that weapon instead of making it your closer. Logon chases Ali as he ejects from his mobile suit. He is about to shoot him when he remembers anew. He decides for peace instead, but he reaches for his gun, leaving Logon no choice but to shoot him. Setsuna reaches Veda to find Tieria's dead body, but he is linked directly with Veda. By doing so, he is finally able to tell Setsuna Aeolia Schönberg's plan. Setsuna returns to the ship with knowledge of the true plan when Seraphim is shot down. It is Ribbons in the Reborn's Gundam. The CB00GC Reborn's Gundam is a transformable mobile suit created with the help of Veda. Like 00, this also has a twin drive system. The cannon mode's mobility is slightly reduced compared to the Gundam modes, but it has high firepower and excels at mid to long range artillery combat. This is a hidden Gundam head. The Gean Tau drives still are inferior to the original Gean drive. Weapons include a Gean Buster Rifle, a Gean Shield, 4 large fin fangs, 8 small fin fangs, and Gean Vulcans. Like the Empress, this also uses the Egner Whip. The two engage in the final Bataru. Lassie tells the Ptolemy crew to move away from Celestial Being. Soma was critically injured, though those pods seem to heal everything, so I actually don't even know what critically injured is in this universe. Did you see Lassie just cured his cancer? The Reborns transforms into mobile suit mode. Revive and Healing come in to support Ribbons, while Allelujah and Lock-On support Setsuna. Or rather, Hallelujah and Allelujah working together. Arios uses the claw arm and crushes the Gadessa, killing Healing, but Allelujah is injured in the process. Lock-On is hit. He only has 1 second of Transam juices left, but that is enough time. He waits for Revive to rush in before activating the Transam and using the shield bits to kill Revive. Ribbons believes that O Gundam's original Gean drive is what is setting Setsuna apart from the Innovades, and he wants it for himself. 00 quantizes or teleports, but Ribbons is able to get the upper hand. He crushes the mobile suit and takes the Gean drive and runs away. While doing so, he finds O Gundam that Lassie abandoned. He puts the drive in O Gundam. Setsuna takes his remaining Gean drive and places it in an old friend. He puts it in Exia, or in this case, Gundam Exia Repair 2. The Gean 001 RE2 Gundam Exia Repair 2 is a modified version of the original Exia Repair, though it does kind of seem like a downgrade. Where's the cool cloak? It is equipped with the Gean Sword Kai, 2 Gean Beam Sabers, a pair of Gean Vulcans, and a Gean shield. The two fight as Marina reads a letter to express her feelings. She knows Setsuna will fight until the day he dies, but she hopes that he could eventually find happiness in all of this. Exia pierces through O Gundam. O Gundam explodes, while 00 drifts off. Setsuna proved that it wasn't just the Gean drive that set him apart. It was himself, for he is Gundam. In Azadistan, Marina tells her people that with the help of ESF, they will rebuild their nation and the entire Middle East. One can dream, I suppose. Saji is with Louise on Earth. ESF gets a new president. Catherine now has ESF parliament members. They now have representation and recognition in this world. The A-Laws have been disbanded, and Homer Katagiri commits suicide. Klaus tells Shiden this is when things actually begin, as change happens with legislation. The new president consolidates the 3 solar towers to find a way to give power to everyone. Katie has been promoted to general and is getting married to her idiot Patrick. This dude's the biggest winner of the show. Andre is supporting in relief efforts in the hopes that he could become a better soldier. Lyle fakes his death and fully takes on the identity of Lock-On Stratos. He also gives Anu a proper burial. Allelujah and Soma/Marie travel the world as they live most of their lives in cages. Tieria watches over everyone. Even as a supercomputer, this guy is being weird. Saji believes that if anything happens again that breaks the peace, he believes that Celestial Being will once again return. Before we begin, we need to talk about Aelia's plan. He mentions at the end of Season 2 that the reason humanity needs to become innovators is because of, you guessed it, aliens. Essentially, he believed that humans needed to ascend before meeting other life forms. Can you guess what we are about to see in this movie? AD 2314, Lindy Vashti has returned from the Jupiter sphere after being gone on an expedition for 2 years. During her adventure, she has created 2 new GN drives designed to be used in a twin drive system with a new Gundam. Linda and Ian are reunited. She shows them the new 00 Quant. More on this soon. Meanwhile, Axis is being destroyed. It totally looks like Axis. We return to the final battle during Season 1, where Setsuna is fighting Alejandro in the Alvatori and Alvaron. Setsuna uses the Riser's sword to defeat Alejandro. Wait, that isn't right. That is because this is a movie that Saji is watching. Saji catches the people up on the past 2 seasons. He visits Louise, who is in the biggest hospital bed I've ever seen, at L3 Colony SOE. We learned through Shiden that many Middle Eastern citizens were forced to immigrate into the colony. They're being denied access into the colony. With them is also Marina Ishmael. The princess makes a compromise and asks to visit the workers, as they suspect some of them are being forced here against their will. The colony public corporation people she is talking to agrees. As they head to the workers' quarters, they're attacked by Jinx 3s. Out of nowhere comes a flag to support Marina's shuttle. It is Setsuna in the Union Flag Celestial Being version. The CBNGN 003 Union Flag Celestial Being version is a variant of the Colony Guard flag. Most of Celestial Being's interventions now involve helping the Federation at a covert ops level. They do this without using Gundams. The GN Sword 2 Kai is a large sword that can also function as a rifle, while large smoke bombs are for hindering enemies. Other Celestial Being modifications are unknown. Weapons include the linear cannon and plasma sword. He unleashes smoke bombs to blind the Jinxes. Setsuna slowly picks them off one by one. Inside the shuttle, one of the SEO colony men point a gun at Marina, but Lock-On turned out to be hiding as a public colony dude and takes him out. He pieces out with Setsuna real quickly. The public colony dude is still alive. Marina says, "I'ma rub my piece all over your face." The two head back to the Ptolemaios 2 Kai. The TCBS 742 Ptolemaios 2 Kai is an enhanced Ptolemaios 2 that takes a more practical and minimalist design. Now that Wang is dead, so too is their money train, so they have to make sensible designs. This version now supports GN Tau Drive, since they too can't finance the real thing and spend most of their budget on the 00 Quant. It has a Trans-Am system and optical camouflage, and a GN field. Weapons include 38 GN missile launchers, 3 large missile launchers, 6 flak cannons, 4 cannon turrets, and a pair of GN cannons. The latest intel shows that ESF is planning on taking out a probe that came from Jupiter. Everyone wonders if Setsuna is alright. He says you wouldn't understand, it's just innovator stuff. Beyond your understanding. What a hipster. Katie Mannequin and her fleet investigates the Celestial Being mothership used by Ribbons at the end of Season 2. She is rocking the new Volga-class ship. The Volga-class is the successor to the Baikal class. A pair of MS hangars have been added to expand the port and starboard of the ship and increases its mobile suit capacity. It is powered by 4 GN Tau drives, 2 in each engine. ESF engineers were able to add their own Trans-Am system to a cruiser of this size, used mainly for high-speed travel. Weapons include 2 100mm grade dual laser cannons, 14 fixed laser cannons, and a bunch of GN missile pods. She is monitoring the Europa probe that is heading towards Earth, and notes that it is 130 years old. She and Patrick take a shuttle to Celestial Being, where it is used by ESF. They are also working with the Innovators that are still alive, mainly the Bring Stability clones. They are reverse engineering the quantum computer. She meets with a man who is said to be a true innovator. This is Descartes Shaman. They use Patrick's ignorance to explain what an innovator is. Descartes is being used as a lab rat. He says that she wants to see his powers. He was able to read Katie's mind. They let him use the Gatalaza. The GNMA Y0002V Gatalaza is the largest mobile armor to date and developed from the Regnant. Like the Regnant, this is an Innovate-used mobile suit. This thing is longer than the Ptolemaios Kai and attaches to the underside of a Nile-class ship. This thing also contains 7 GN Tau drives. 14 large GN Fangs are installed, and each one has its own GN Tau drive as well. Both the units and the GN Fangs can use the Trans-Am system. Other weapons include the GN Blaster, a GN gun which doubles as a beam saber, smaller GN Fangs, and 32 missile pods. He launches with a squad of Jinx 4s. The GNX 803T Jinx 4 is built off of the Jinx 3 and the Ahead. Reverse engineering the celestial being mothership allowed them to incorporate new technologies. The head's backpack is now a part of the Jinx line for greater speed and maneuverability. The shoulders have hardpoints for mounting equipment. These machines now get backed up from Veda. Weapons include a GN beam rifle, which doubles as a GN long rifle, 2 GN beam sabers, a GN beam claw, 2 GN Vulcans in the head, and 2 GN Vulcans in the waist, a GN sword buster from a modified Jinx 2 sword, a GN shield, and a bazooka that can fire GN particles and non-GN particles. A few Jinxes launch ahead of them. One of the pilots is Andrei Smirnov. Descartes comes in and does critical damage to the probe. Andre is amazed by the Innovators' battle. Now that true Innovators are becoming a thing, the president of the Federation is planning for what's to come. Graham, who is no longer Tom Cruise, is talking to Billy, wondering why there is no debris from the probe that fell to Earth. ESF claims it all burned up during re-entry. After the probe breaks up, strange events begin happening. Driverless cars and trains begin to crash. Infrastructure being run on software isn't working properly. Meanwhile, Louise has herself a freakout. Just some PTSD, no big deal. A young girl comes home to find an Innovate after her doorknob terraforms around her hand. Mina Carmine helps with studying the probe debris that fell to Earth. She is all over Billy's GN particles, if you know what I mean. Billy believes that some of the debris is moving or vanishing. Mina will help him, but she needs a database of potential Innovators. Setsuna and Lock-On head to Earth. Allelujah and Mari are living that vagabond life when they stumble onto a power plant. They enter to find crystallized people. A car tries to crash into them. Since the debris came to Earth, Louise's PTSD has been exacerbated. While having a panic attack, Saji looks into her eyes. They look like Setsuna's eyes. That is when an Innovate comes into the hospital room. Saji says, "Welcome to the ring, bitch," and throws a folding chair into the Innovate's helmet. Power is completely out at the hospital. The Innovate catches up when he runs into Setsuna, who shoots the Innovate. He notices he has the face of ribbons. For a brief moment, Allelujah and Mari are in a Stephen King story turned bad film. They run away from the magic space truck. While this is happening, Allelujah takes over. He leads the truck into a trap, but more try to take him out. Lock-On comes in to help them out. He is piloting the Gundam Dynamics Repair. The GN002RE Gundam Dynamics Repair is used by Lock-On to lay low. It uses a GN condenser instead of a GN drive since they lost most of the drives at the end of the anime. Dynamics Repair has been enlarged, with a number of built-in GN verniers increasing from 2 to 4. For the most part, this is more or less the same as Dynamics. Ribbons walks towards Setsuna. He shoots him in the head, but he keeps walking towards him. Setsuna then says, "I'm gonna blow you up." Billy, Vice Admiral Kim, and Representative Klaus meet. We learn that these shards are liquid metal caused by the extraterrestrial living metal shapeshifters, or ELS. They seem to be attracted to those emitting quantum brain waves. They are targeting true Innovators or potential true Innovators. It seemed to have latched on to the probe that fell to Earth. All of the Ptolemaios crew are reunited once again. Even Setsuna, who is blunt and to the point, can't put his fingers on what he just experienced on Earth. Feld says that he hasn't opened up since he became an Innovator. Sumeragi tells her to think about him. That is all she could do. True Innovators will understand and empathize. Just when you think Patrick is going to get some, Katie learns that one of their Transam units launch, and the Innovates are no longer in their pods. Felt tells Setsuna that what he just experienced isn't ribbons, but a ribbons-type Innovate named Sky Eclipse that was on the probe mission over a century ago. They learn of the events happening on Earth and realize this is a living being of some sort. But what are they trying to do? Something approaches the ship. It is the Jupiter probe, the Europa, fully intact as if it was never destroyed. Celestial being launch. Lock-On launches in Zabanya. The GN010 Gundam Zabanya is Lock-On's new long-range mobile suit built off of Sheridan's frame. It also uses the same GN drive. This not only evolves the legacy of the sniping Gundam, but furthers the bit control system. This is broken into two systems, the defensive GN holster bits and the offensive GN pistol bits. They are both designed to be easy to control. The Zabanya carries 10 GN holster bits via a pair of movable arms on the left and right side of the rear waist. It is also equipped with multiple missile pods. This unit has 2 Hado docks to help handle all the bits. Mari and Allelujah launch in the Harut. The GN011 Gundam Harut is the evolution of Arios Gundam and has a flight form and mobile suit form. The Arios and GN Archer were 2 separate machines that combined into one, but that is no longer necessary. It also integrates some of the Riser's technology. The This is the golden standard for hit-and-run assault units. It is piloted by both Allelujah and Mari. The Marut mode unlocks the pilot's super soldier potential. In this mode, Allelujah and Hallelujah work together. Weapons include the Gian sword rifle, which has 3 modes: rifle, sword, and claw mode. It also has a Gian cannon on each side, the Gian scissor bits, and 12 missile containers. Setsuna launches in a modified 00 riser, the Gian quadruple O RE plus GNR 010 00 riser Gian condenser type. Is a combined form of 00 Gundam and the Riser. Instead of the Gian drives, this unit is powered by Gian condensers. This is more or less the same 00 Riser seen in Season 2. When they approach the probe, hundreds of bit-like objects approach the Gundams. They can absorb shell attacks. Setsuna gets a space tingle and begins evading. But the liquid metal bits begin latching on. Flying claw arms come in to support. They attach to a Gundam called Raphael Gundam. The unit is piloted by Tiedia. The CB-002 Raphael Gundam was built by Tiedia using Veda. Since this is a design from Veda, this mobile suit resembles something closer to the Reborn's Gundam, rather than something built by Ian Vashti, though it does inherit features from Virtue and Cerevi. The top can transform into Cerevi 2. This unit is enhanced with a quantum brainwave control system, a Gian big cannon, and a Gian bazooka. It has the long-range precision capabilities of the Gedessa. The unit goes into Transam mode and eviscerates the ship. Tiedia downloaded himself into a new body. He wonders why Setsuna didn't shoot. He says it's Innovators' instincts. Tiedia tells them of ELS. This is what Allelujah was trying to warn them about. They think this is far too early, but it is happening nonetheless. Some think that they should attack since they attacked first, while others think it might be a bad response to something they don't fully understand. For the first time, Setsuna seems lost. Tiedia says that the Gundam they have for Setsuna may be their trump card. Tiedia thinks that Setsuna may be able to communicate with the aliens. Kitty meets with Billy and Mina, who are introduced to Descartes. They need his help, though he isn't sure how. They wonder if he could communicate with them. He says that he could hear it cry. Suddenly, everyone with high quantum brainwaves gets an overwhelming sensation. In the Jupiter sphere, a giant hole appears. Out of it comes thousands of bigger ELS vessels. They begin making their way towards Earth. It will take them 95 days to make it to Earth. Setsuna wants to go meet them. The Federation Parliament squabble over what they should do. Some are happy this will give them an opportunity to roll out new mobile suits. The President and her council assume that ELS are after Veda as it has high quantum brainwaves. They're going to use Descartes to try to lead them away from Earth. ESF sends out a fleet to deal with ELS. ESF and ELS will converge somewhere around Mars. Commanding the fleet is Kim in a Niles-class ship. The Niles-class ship is the next generation of mobile suit carriers. It uses Gian Tau drives, but how many are unknown. This was made by former Union engineers, and the design is somewhere in between the Virginia and the Pickel-class ship. Its primary weapons are its laser cannons, 4 on the bow, 4 on the aft, and 2 on each engine. It has docking clamps that we see mainly used to carry the Gadalaza. Other weapons include the flat cannon. It is also equipped with the Transam system. Kim volunteered for this mission because he is trying to live up to the ideals of his old friend Sergei. The Gadalaza and the Jinxes launch, but Descartes takes off on his own. He approaches the ELS swarm and fires. The Ptolemaios is making its way to the battle. Many Jinx pilots are absorbed. A giant ELS probe crashes into the Niles-class ship, absorbing Kim and his crew. Well, you wanted to live up to Sergei, and he did die on the battlefield, so this one's on you. Descartes fires on the absorbed ship, but it does nothing. A swarm surrounds the Gadalaza. Celestial beings make it to the battlefield and notice the giant swarm forming. They are too late to save Descartes. Well, that character served very little purpose. Setsuna plans on using the riser system to create a Gian field increasing quantum brainwaves. He tries to communicate with it. As he tries a typical naked quantum brainwave sesh with ELS, the alien seems to reject him and tries to absorb Setsuna. Tiedia activates Cerevi-2 to get the attention of the swarm. The Gian 008 RE Cerevi Gundam 2 is the successor of Cerevi Gundam and is also unmanned. This is technically a rebuild or a Kai, as this was built from the wreckage of Cerevi. This mounts on the shoulders of Raphael Gundam. Tiedia controls the unit via quantum brainwaves. It can self-destruct if needed. Foreshadowing, it can activate the Transam system and is equipped with the Gian Bazooka and Gian Beam Saber. Tiedia tries to remove the shards from 00 Riser. He rips open the cockpit and grabs Setsuna. he too becomes infected by the swarm. He throws Setsuna's pod at Lock-On and he heads back to the ship. Tiedia activates his Trans Am and self-destructs. He's fine, he doesn't need a body. Something activates in Allelujah, and he turns into Hallelujah. One thing to note is that it seems Madi and Allelujah's brainwaves are on the same wavelength, while Soma and Hallelujah's brainwaves are in sync. Two people with did, both personalities falling in love with one another. What are the odds? Lock-On is almost attacked when the Soul Brave units come in to help. This is Graham's new squad of Braves. The Jinx 903 VS Brave Standard Test Type is the successor to the Union Flag and the AEU Enact, but with the latest GN technology. This is a return to form. However, it does utilize many technologies found in Graham's old Masudao. In addition to its high mobility and the flight mode's long-distance travel capability, the Brave also has a lot of firepower. This is designed for short and sweet Black Ops missions and has a flight form. It is mounted with GN Tau drive. The binders and beam sabers are smaller than the commander type. The Drake Howling GN beam rifle allows the unit to use the Tri-Punisher attack that the Susanoo did. Other weapons include Chakram grenades, a GN cannon, a GN machine gun, a 30mm machine gun on each wrist, and 4 GN missiles stored in the legs. This has the Trans Am system as well. The Jinx 903 VW Brave Commander Test Type is Graham Acker's mobile suit. Like the standard unit, this has 2 GN Tau drives on the back. The standard unit is easier to control than the commander unit and is designed for ace pilots. It also has a slightly longer antenna. This commander unit specifically is designed to be left-handed as Graham is left-handed. This unit has the same weapons loadout as the standard unit. As they begin attacking, the ELS form into a giant ball. The team goes to check on Setsuna, who is in a coma. This was caused by him taking in too much information from ELS. Sumeragi is yelling at Virtual Tiedia for getting his body killed. Graham is mad that he won't have the opportunity to face Setsuna again now that he is in a coma. Dude has a one-track mind. More ELS swarms begin appearing around Jupiter. The president begins prepping shelters for the people of Earth. ELS preps for an interplanetary battle. There will be 3 waves of fleets. The final line of defense is the Celestial Being Mothership, where Katie Mannequin will be stationed. They are throwing everything they have at it. Marina opens the palace doors to allow the people to use this shelter. She doesn't plan on leaving Azadistan. The Federation is looking for every engineer willing to help out at the orbital elevators during this battle. Saji is going out to help. The thought of meeting aliens turns on Mina and makes Billy kiss her. Do me, damn it! The Ptolemaios meets up with Linda and Ian Vashti to find that they were too late. Tiedia wants to put a Veda link into 00 Quant. Aeolia believes that 3 things were necessary for the arrival of aliens: GN drives, Veda, and Innovators. Setsuna proved that an innovator with the help of the GN drive can talk to ELS, but it overloads, causing a brain aneurysm. Veda is the 3rd missing link. It can control the flow of information to prevent him from going into a coma. This is all predicated on the fact that Setsuna will wake up, which isn't a certainty. The giant ELS swarm begins advancing. ESF's first wave begins a missile barrage. Once Katie sees how useless this is, she preps the Celestial Being's large megaparticle gun. Oh hey, Andre is here. What have you been up to? Katie fires the cannon on the swarm ball. The swarm begins to fuse with ESF technologies, and they mimic looking and functioning like mobile suits. In this case, Jinx's. One of the Soul Brave pilots go down. ELS then mimics a Baikal-class ship. Katie fires the large cannons again at the ball swarm. It deflects the beam like a GN field. It is learning from them. Celestial Beings Gundams come in to help. It seems like Soma and Hallelujah are in charge. Lock-On has extended his bits with the power of Haros. Also, if you read any of the 00 manga, Celestial Being Haros are ghosts in the shell. Some of them are humans inside a Haro body. Just something to think about. The Ptolemy unleashes a missile barrage. Setsuna is battling with his past and his mind. He sees everyone that we have seen died in the series. Felt, feels. The swarms try to assimilate the Celestial Being cannons. Andre's mobile suit activates its Trans Am, and he is killed in action. Bye, Andre. You didn't get the girl and you died like your dad. Hey, wait a minute, you killed your dad. You suck, Andre. While people die on the battlefield, Setsuna is able to sense all of it. He sees Marina helping her people, as well as Saji helping in space. He then talks to his dead comrades and sees the rose that Felt gave him at the end of Season 2. This helps Setsuna wake up from his coma. Once he is on his feet, he takes off in the new 00 Quant. The GNT 000 00 Quant is a mobile suit designed for Setsuna after he awakened his true innovative form. It takes a lot of battle data from the 00 Gundam 7 Sword G. The Zabanya and Harut used scrap parts because most of the budget went to using new parts for this new mobile suit. This too has the twin drive system. This is equipped with 6 GN Sword bits, which are controlled via quantum brainwaves. This unit can activate the quantum system and allow a true innovator to unify the collective conscious of everything, encompassing the surrounding GN particles. Other weapons include the GN Sword 5 and the GN Shield. It also has a Veda terminal that produces a tiny Tiedia. Just as Patrick is about to be consumed, he is saved by Setsuna. Luckiest guy in the world, man. Tiny Tiedia tells him to head towards the center of the swarm ball. The Soul Brave team comes in to protect him as he gets closer. Lock-On activates his Trans Am and goes full Freedom Gundam on ELS. Allelujah and Hallelujah argue with one another during the battle. As he gets in close, the swarm goes after 00. Setsuna activates Trans Am and uses the GN Sword bits to fire a burst sword. It doesn't do enough damage to penetrate the ball swarm. That is when Graham comes in. He's being assimilated by ELS and is a dead man walking. He activates his Trans Am and crashes into the ball, exposing a hole. Setsuna goes into the gooey center. Sumeragi tells the crew to abandon ship, but they all refuse. Setsuna flies through the alien sperm. He gets to the center and activates the quantum system. Time to go on a trip. You aren't going to need clothes where you're going. He learns that their homeworld is dying, and they sent out a cosmic space eyeball to find a way for them to survive. They need to better understand each other. Setsuna and Tiedia use quantum teleportation and disappear. The ELS stop attacking and form together to make a flower, which looks similar to the flower Felt gave them. Everyone looks on in amazement. AD 2091. A man named E.A. Ray is talking to a young Aeolia Schönberg. This man seems to be the basis for Ribbon's Almark. He wonders why Aeolia confined himself after inventing perpetual energy, creating quantum computers, and discovering a new particle. He says that the tool they use to better understand each other can also be used to hurt one another. AD 2364. A deep space vessel, the Sumeragi, is planning a trip to explore the galaxy. With them are Sakibures. The GNW 100A Sakibure is an advanced work loader used mainly as a tool, though it is as powerful as a mobile suit. AI has advanced so much in 2364 that there's really no need for humans to pilot anymore, though there are manual versions of this unit. There are 5 variants: the condenser type, ELS type, GN Drive Tau type, human type, and GN Drive type. There are no weapons, but it has a Trans Am system and the quantum system. On board is the girl Ami, who was the first person to get assimilated. The commander of this journey is an older Klaus. In the Middle East, an older Marina Ishmael hears a voice. It is Setsuna. He is still young and with silver hair, so it is assumed he has assimilated with ELS. It took him 50 years, but he was finally able to understand Marina's desire for true peace. And that will conclude Mobile Suit Gundam 00, A Awakening of the Trailblazer. I don't have a problem with aliens, but the execution just wasn't there and doesn't add to the end of the series. Allelujah and Mari's story was done, and they were pretty much just hanging out in this movie. They probably should have remained on Earth. Andre was working to become a better man, only to die. I did like the sacrifice that Graham made, however. At least his character built up to that moment. Like it or not, this movie achieves what other Gundam series doesn't. It actually achieves some form of peace, or at least is working together towards that peace. I guess Wing is too, but it is too high concept and Shakespearean to care about the nuance. This in many ways is like Wing if Wing took geopolitics seriously. That being said, it took war to achieve this state and required force through military engineering. Weapons were necessary to create the GN Drive, which was achieved through a military arms race. Even though Setsuna acknowledges that Marina's pacifist ways were right, humanity couldn't get there without war. It mirrors the American space program of the 60s, which was built off the back of World War II. The ballistic weapons we used to kill became the tool to get us into space. Too bad that's all gone now. We aren't done with this universe just yet. We have started exploring Mobile Suit Gundam 00I and will be going through 00P and many other 00 side stories. But that'll do it for now, new types. Remember, peace can't be achieved if there is no conflict. But through conflict comes better understanding. Or at least that's what I'm told. Peace.